barking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnop.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the Doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is a Tuesday here in the hood, and it is brisk, to say the least. Hope everybody's doing well. And unfortunately for, you and me and everyone else, we are back to work today, full time, after the Labor Day holiday. Coming up at 7-ish will be Marva Miami. She is a grad from UNC Chapel Hill, and talk about what unveiled last night down in North Carolina. David Smith joins us. We'll have our NFL preview. You realize the NFL season kicks off on Thursday. I believe that's the Eagles and Cowboys. Then there's a game on Friday, I think, in Brazil. And then we'll have Mike Burnop, and we'll get his take on Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and look ahead to Vanderbilt. So all that's coming up today on the program. As always, we'd like to hear from you in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Jump in, give us your thoughts. Did you watch last night? Didn't go well at all for the home team. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsoring our studio here in Reiner. 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. They give you free quotes, locally owned and operated, no mess, materials of any kind, vinyl, wood, aluminum, chain link, residential, commercial, agricultural fencing. Give them a call. Check them out. But we'd like to hear from you. And last night was strange. I was first of all, I don't understand why it started at 8 on a Monday night, but it did. TV wins. They wanted primetime start in the East, and I get it, for advertising and things of that nature. I understand. Awful late to try to stay up and watch. And then at first, North Carolina comes out and they take the ball right down the field. What was it, like an 80-yard drive or so? And they're up 7-0. Max Johnson makes a beautiful pass, Carolina quarterback. And then it just stopped. TCU just flattened them. 21 points in the third quarter. And I don't know about you, but to me it looked completely like North Carolina was not prepared to play. We'll talk about that, and we'll get your take on it. And I'll ask David Smith and Mike Burnop, and we'll talk to Marva about it too. And I know it's one game, but I expected them to show a little bit better than that. Of course, BDST here on YouTube, brought to you by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Very proud of that. 48 degrees again this morning. That seems to be the norm. So get your heat checked by Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Charles Lee and the crew. Our BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry, 701 Main Street in Radford. Trying to figure out a really good question. I didn't have a great question before. And thanks to National Bank, member FDIC, exclusive banking partner BDST on YouTube. So last night, I don't know. There was so much hype, so much typical ESPN, Belichick. They brought all sorts of folks back, all the pundits back. Michael Jordan was there. They bring out Roy Williams. I mean, it was an event, and it looked cool, and I know everybody was stoked. So in terms of a marketing standpoint, man, last night was a huge win for everybody involving North Carolina. And then the game happened. Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, looked terrific. He ended up throwing for 284. They ran for 258 yards against a Bill Belichick defense. They averaged 7.5 yards per carry. That was really surprising to me. They just had no problem. Kavarian Barnes is a terrific, terrific player, as is their receiver, Jordan Dwyer. TCU looks really good. They're kind of flying under the radar a bit, if you will, in the Big 12, but watch out for those guys. And I was just surprised to see North Carolina. I mean, I don't know what a lot of people were expecting. Did they expect Bill Belichick just to come in and wave a magic wand and everything was going to turn out and just look great? Well, the first drive it did. It was, you couldn't have drawn it up any better. And I'm thinking, all right, well, he's had an effect. And then TCU caught their breath. They kind of had to absorb the blow, just like if you're in a heavyweight bout and you're going up against somebody who's a heavy puncher, likes to attack early. Stay on your feet. Don't get hurt. And then, you can wear them out and get them up against the ropes and pound away. And that's exactly what TCU did to Carolina. They just pounded away, and then it wouldn't let up. Not good for the ACC if that's where Carolina's going to be. We'll see what it looks like in week 2. But 70 new players, right? They revamped the whole roster, bragged about doing so. It reminds me of what Deion Sanders did first year in Colorado that didn't go so well. I believe it was around 70 players or maybe even more. And that's a lot of turnover and a lot of guys trying to get acclimated to not only a new football system, but also a new existence, down in Chapel Hill. So maybe it was too much to expect to come out and play, a program like TCU that, it's played for national title. They've been a Big 12. Let's just say it. They've been a power in the Big 12 for a decade, right? They've been really good. TCU's been really good. And they showed it again last night. I think they went in there with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And they did some epic trolling, by the way. I got to show you this. If you haven't seen this was on X this morning. And let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, this is cool. I mean, if you're a Carolina fan, you're not going to like it. I don't like that one. There you go. That's better. Here you go. Look at this. This is what TCU did this morning over on X. Carolina football had posted, excited to showcase our program this fall on Hulu. And it shows Bill Belichick at the press conference. So TCU football responded after the game, when does episode 1 come out? Oh, I'll tell you what, though. Mega kudos to whoever. Yeah, that's pretty good right there now. When does episode 1 come out? Wow. That was some high level trolling. 48-14. Bill Belichick just said we have to get better. Sonny Dykes, the TCU coach, said this game was always about us. We weren't worried about anything else, and they proved it. Dykes said we felt very disrespected coming in. Every conversation we heard, they almost forgot that North Carolina had an opponent. And then TCU played like it after the initial drive by North Carolina. Bill Belichick was gracious. He said TCU is far the better team. They deserve to win. They outgained him 542 to 222. You remember it was TCU, by the way, that was the first opponent for Deion Sanders at Colorado. You remember that? They got off to a good start, and then Colorado ran off like big rally, and they beat them, and everybody was like, oh, my goodness, Deion's going to be – well, TCU probably remembered that. Sonny Dykes probably remembered that. Sonny Dykes referenced that he was asked about the comparison between Belichick and Deion. He said that going back into that game, he felt like they had so much more confidence in this one, not because of the opponent, just because of the way we had prepared and who we had on our team. So the Horned Frogs get to take a week off, then probably another week off when they play Abilene Christian. And they have to head, North Carolina has to head to Charlotte, take on the 49ers, who got beat up pretty good by App State. So, it's going to be a game-by-game thing, and it's so quick to crown a champion after 1 week. We all do that. The media does it especially. And it's also very easy to go ahead and shovel the dirt on somebody after week 1, but that's not usually how it works. But the thing that struck me was really how unprepared North Carolina looked, especially defensively. They didn't tackle well. Fundamentals looked bad. They didn't block well up front. So just from, losing the game as badly as they did, and trust me, this is an embarrassing thing. North Carolina's probably sitting around today, the admins down there and the president and folks down there that put so much money into it. They're probably thinking, are we ever going to get it right? And I get that if you are thinking that as a Carolina fan. But it is only one game. Just like we said for Virginia Tech, it's one game. That's why game 2 takes on a little more importance. And for Carolina, going forward, especially when they jump into ACC competition, those games will take on much more importance. But we'll get your thoughts. Jump in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. We'd love to hear from you. So how do we assess the ACC after week 1, right? I think there are 3 teams that probably deserve attaboys here on the program. Clearly, the Florida schools. Florida State beating what looked like a very overrated Alabama team. Imagine that, Alabama. Propped up by the ESPN FBI. Yeah. And Miami. Because you think about what Miami and Florida State each did, they knocked off arguably the 2 highest regarded blue bloods in the history of college football, right? Miami beating Notre Dame on Sunday night and Florida State beating Alabama. And then I think you have to give kudos to Georgia Tech, to be honest. I think Brent Key's squad going out to Colorado, again, they weren't getting any respect. It was all about, how's Deion's team going to look after he lost Shedeur and he lost Travis Hunter. And they go out there and put together a 27-20 win. Haynes King's going to be a problem in the NFL. I mean, I heard some people saying they don't know if he's going to transfer over, but you realize he ran for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns? Everybody talks about all these dual threat quarterbacks and what a weapon they're going to be at the next level, yet it's Haynes King, and they think he's not going to succeed. I don't understand that. That guy can play. But I think that's probably the 3 teams right now that you look at and say, okay, after week 1, if you have a power structure, I don't know how you want to put it. You'd probably put Florida State 1, Miami 2, and then Georgia Tech 3. It's hard to assess some of the other games. Louisville beat up on Eastern Kentucky. Boston College beat Fordham. Pitt beat Duquesne. Virginia beat Coastal. SMU beat something called Eastern Texas A&M. I don't even know what that is. Duke beat Elon. So you had some games in there that were mismatches that were going to be lopsided, and they were. David says Bill got so bored at one point, he got the iPod out and was looking at pictures of his girlfriend. Reminding himself. Wow, we've given up 5 consecutive touchdowns. Hey, Coach, can you hand me that iPad? Yeah. Hit the file that says Hottie and just hand it here. Oh, yeah. That's good. That's pretty good, David. That's as good of a troll as the picture that I showed you with TCU's X account. When is episode 1? Wow, that's good. But hey, one thing, kudos to North Carolina. It looked great. Hit us up, by the way, on the text line. I didn't give that yet today. Many of you have throughout the day. So make sure you go. And please make sure you go in and subscribe, like, and share. Remind people that it's free. Got to figure out a way to boost the sub numbers. The views are great. People are going back and watching. It's awesome. Thank you so much. But we got to get the subscription number up. There's the text line, 540-391-0788. And I only say that because I know I'm going to hear constant pushing in the subscription number vibe. So please subscribe and tell people. But 540-391-0788 is the text line. Oh, I don't know why I hit break. Oh, you know what? I do have breaking news. I have breaking news because I owe Neil Leahy a solid. So we have a sound clip that became probably viral every time we used it, and I could never find it, and Neil found it. Ladies and gentlemen, as the show has moved back to this new era of digital age here on YouTube, I give you the Oh My guy. He is back here on BDS.
Oh my! Oh no! Oh no! That was out of nowhere. Oh.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Neil. You are the man. You are the man. You know, and it could be used last night. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. North Carolina comes out. Are they going to score a touchdown? They do on their first drive under Bill Belichick.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
And then you can say, oh, my goodness, TCU is up 48-7 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
So thanks, Neil. Appreciate that. But that would be my power order right now in the ACC. And I don't know if it'll last, but after week one, you do silly things like appoint power systems. Florida State, Miami, Georgia Tech. I think that's pretty solid. Right now, anyway. We'll see how it unfolds in week two. And week two doesn't offer up a whole lot. Let me see here. Let me look before I say that. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. So on Friday, by the way, the director of athletics at James Madison, Matt Roan, is going to be on this program every month. JMU goes to Louisville on Friday. I hate that it's on high school football night. That's the Friday night game. That'll be cool. That'll be cool to watch. Go Dukes. Illinois travels to Duke on Saturday. Now, that's big time. We got some big-time early games on Saturday. I'll give them that. Because Illinois is number 12 in the country. Duke, Phil still said it. They really he likes them a lot. Baylor, who lost to Auburn at home to open up the season, has to go to SMU. The game that was always played, Texas rivals. That's a good game. The non-ACC game, it still sounds weird, Virginia going to NC State. But it just goes to show you how poorly constructed the ACC schedule is when you have Virginia and NC State having to play because they don't play each other in the conference. And if you're Jim Phillips and you're sitting there trying to say, well, you're not going to need 9 games, here's proof of 2 schools telling you, well, no, you're wrong. We're scheduling conference opponents. 9 games would work just fine. Don't give me the odd number of schools. And I still don't understand that statement after the SEC's announcement. Oh, well, we're pretty happy with 8 games. Why? Central Michigan and Pittsburgh. Central Michigan's a strong team out of the MAC. UConn and Syracuse, that could be interesting. Syracuse going back home after they got beat up pretty good. Virginia Tech game against Vanderbilt. BC has to travel to Michigan State. They have to take on Sparty. And then Stanford will go to 0-2 when they go to BYU and get pounded in Provo at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Late game on Saturday night. So there's some other stuff, Carolina and Charlotte, Bethune-Cookman, Miami, Texas Southern and Cal, Gardner-Webb, Georgia Tech, Troy and Clemson. Western Carolina and Wake. Wake better watch out. That could be difficult for them. But there's some decent games, especially on the early window there on Saturday. Illinois Duke will be interesting. Very interesting. But we're done with week one now of college football. And what is your take? By the way, yesterday, David Smith and I released the debut of the Sports and More podcast. Easy for me to say. The Sports and More podcast. Boom. And it is up on the channel. We uploaded it yesterday afternoon, and it'll be there. And we're talking about the NFL, and we'll have another episode coming up. He and I will talk about it. So go watch and enjoy and listen to David's brilliance about the NFL and other things. So that was up yesterday. Good stuff. So week one is done. College football. We talk a little bit about it. It was great to have it back. I'm not complaining about it or anything like that, but we didn't have a great game in week one. We had some interesting contests. We had some stuff, but we did not necessarily have a great game, especially if you go back and you look at the top 25. Ohio State, Texas was a offensively challenged game. Defenses dominated. Same thing with LSU and Clemson. Florida State game had some excitement. I guess you could probably say pound for pound, it may have been the best top 25 game there for a while, looking through the rest of the schedule in the top 25, there wasn't much there. Miami, Notre Dame was close. You could probably throw that in. That's why I mentioned Miami, Florida State. And then South Carolina, Virginia Tech, from a national perspective, was probably kind of a dud to watch. We had local interest, obviously, here. But I think what we're seeing when you jump into college football cold like this is, and I'll never understand it, and the first person who ever heard bring it up was Frank Beamer, and he did it back the first run of the show when he would come on every week. If not every week, it was bi-weekly. Can't remember for sure. And he said, we need a preseason game. We need to have schools be able to go and play head-to-head against other schools coming out of camp. And it's something that since then has picked up a lot of momentum. Other coaches talk about it all the time. The need to have some kind of organized scrimmage or preseason game, however you want it to look so nobody would get hurt. I think you could sell tickets for it. Or even if you didn't want to make money off of it, which is an option you could have. I mean, I don't know. Again, coaches probably don't want to show stuff in a public display. You wouldn't invite any media coverage, wouldn't be any TV or radio. But imagine if Virginia Tech were to invite JMU or Liberty up to Lane Stadium and have a controlled exhibition game like that. Just work out some kinks. Get your depth chart in order. Maybe the quarterbacks don't go live. I don't know how it would look. But every other sport at the collegiate level has that. And the football part of it is obviously the piece that's controlling everything else in college athletics. Why would you not want your product to be as good as it can be when you kick it off? Because we have all this hype, all this circumstance, all the ESPN marketing, and then you get into week one, and then after you look back at it, you go, it wasn't really that good. And especially now in the age, it seems like to me, more than ever, you would want that. Because look at North Carolina, 70 new players. Virginia Tech, 30 new players. You have all these new players, and it's going to be that way every year because of the portal and the NIL. Why not bring those players in and have them participate in some kind of exhibition? I don't know. To me, it just seems like it makes sense. David Smith and I talk about that a little bit in our podcast. Messages on the text line. I'm getting a lot of memes about the North Carolina game. That was a nice Beyonce meme. Thank you. Good stuff. Good stuff. But I think that a preseason game would make some sense, and it doesn't have to be an official game like the NFL plays a real game. But get some work in against another team. Maybe you can look sharper than the majority of these teams did over the weekend. It just seems like a lot to ask to go into a college football season and beating up on one another. I mean, look at Tech, right? They had that last scrimmage. Was it like a Tuesday? Had the rest of the week off. Then the rest of the week they prepared. I don't know. It just seems like it makes more sense for me. For me, it makes more sense. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But not good last night for North Carolina in any way, shape, or form. Ugly. It was very ugly throughout. And we'll see how they do going forward. They were hyped up as the next big thing. ESPN wanted to make it so. They wanted so badly to go crazy. And they did when it was 7-0, but then that changed dramatically. Dramatically. Not good. Not good. Yeah, I agree, Wayne. These are jobs now. Yeah. And it basically is that way with basketball. Practicing year-round. I mean, basketball worked out all summer down at Radford. They have a practice schedule now. It used to be started in October. They're working out now, men and women's teams all over the country. It's basically these are your jobs. You're not college students. You're working in college. And by the way, you're taking class as part of your eligibility. But yeah, that's a good point. So why not allow them to, if they're there and they're making money and you feel like you could make some money, and I know you could, most programs could in football. Don't tell me you couldn't. I mean, there's a lot of people who would come pay and, watch Virginia Tech play James Madison in a controlled scrimmage or exhibition. I mean, look at the foundation games in high school football here locally. Those things are packed. And sometimes they're live. Most of the time, I think now you don't hit the quarterback and now you don't have special teams live, but it's very, very much like a real game. And I think it helps you get prepared for that next week. And these are young people that don't necessarily have, the ability to get ready otherwise than just going out and performing. Great point in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. It was embarrassing, all the famous alumni there. They put it on Monday night for Bill Belichick. ESPN plugged it. Yeah, oh, my gosh. It was just so typical of what that network is. It's nothing but a self-promotional machine. I mean, and then you go out and you get absolutely throttled. Embarrassed. It was embarrassing. I mean, if you're a North Carolina fan with all that, you should be embarrassed. And like I said, this is some high-level trolling right here by TCU. Some high-level trolling this morning on X, or late last night. Carolina football excited to showcase the program on Hulu this fall. And they tweeted out, quoted, when does episode 1 come out? That's well done. Very, very, very well done. And I want to ask Marva. Marva's going to come on. She's a diehard Carolina fan. And where does this program go from here? It's strange, isn't it, how quickly you can lose a culture. You speak of it here in Blacksburg. Tech fan, you live it. Where's it gone for 5-6 years, right? Will it come back? That's why you appreciate it as long as you have it. And that was the thing that got I think a lot of people sideways with Whit Babcock from the get-go. Because even though you were segueing out of the Frank Beamer era, and I know it kind of dropped off some at the end, but it was pretty damn good ride, wasn't it? Right? So you come in, you're a new AD, and immediately you don't pay a lot of respect to it. You do, but you don't really by your actions. Nobody's going to go back and retrospectively criticize the hire Justin Fuente, because it was the slam dunk, the quintessential hire at the time. And in the first year and a half, it looked great. Record was really strong. A lot of Coach Beamer's players. And then when that program lost it, it was over. And it hasn't come back since. And you wanted to get as far away as you could from the Frank Beamer era. You wanted to get as far away as you could from everything that went on. And now look where you are. So appreciate what you had. There's a way to transition out of it. Alabama's dealing with it now. Now, not that Alabama didn't appreciate it. And I think Alabama really worked as hard as they could to find the best coach they could. But Kalen DeBoer is not it in Tuscaloosa. That program, to me, and I think he's a great football coach, and I think he's going to end up leaving Alabama at some point, probably not by his own choice. And he's going to go somewhere else and be highly successful, just like he was at Washington. He's a really good coach. He's just not a good coach for Alabama. And they're living it right now. Alabama players didn't look like they cared to me in the second half. Florida State players were hungry. Give Mike Norvell some credit. He takes a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, after the 2-win season last year. But Florida State players were bought in. Alabama's players never looked bought into me. And I'm not just criticizing DeBoer. I think he's a good coach. But he's not – following Nick Saban was not something that was ever going to be a seamless transition. And they're seeing it. They're living it right now. They're living it. For a program like North Carolina, it's strange to me how they can't get it right. The ACC is not this juggernaut of a conference. They have as many financial advantages as any program in the country. Trust me. Fundraising, NIL, they have unlimited funds in Chapel Hill. They can't get it right. The second Mac Brown installment, there were some good moments. I want to ask Marva this because I don't know the answer. But if you look at their head coaching lineage down there, they haven't been able to find it. I mean, they had Drake May, and they couldn't make a national imprint. You know, they would have some moments. They had Sam Howell. Remember, they were kind of peaking a little bit, right? Sam Howell coming out of the COVID nonsense, and then you had the big game against Virginia Tech. Justin Fuente on the hot seat. Tech goes out there and beats them, national TV. It's interesting. Reggie chimes in. Back to the grind for a lot of us today. Yeah. After the holiday, hopefully the ones grinding away at Tech are working toward a hard-fought victory Saturday night. Yeah, they need it, Reggie. They need it. David says college teams should do like a high school jamboree, bring in two teams, both offenses and defenses, get some live reps. Yeah. I don't know how you would do that. Maybe you probably wouldn't. Maybe you don't even try to make money off of it. Just bring them in and just do it like a closed scrimmage. Basketball does it all the time. Virginia Tech and Radford will go, just to give you an example, because there are two local schools. They will go have these controlled scrimmages. Only certain people are there. No crowd or anything like that. Just to play a real game situation. You divvy up the quarters or the halves any way you feel like it. And you get some good work in against good competition. It's either on your level or most of the time it's above your level. And you could do the same thing in football. Doesn't even have to be a money-making thing. That's just another option, you know. That's just a different option that you could throw in there. Baseball does it. They have scrimmages. I mean, every sport we have at Radford goes and they have exhibitions or scrimmages. Exhibitions actually play as real games. I mean, when we have an exhibition soccer game at Radford, we treat it when we're hosting, even though it doesn't count, like a real game. Clock, stats, everything. And then you go out and you play the first real game, and then you're okay. They have Tech, yeah, exactly. Like I said earlier, Tech, Liberty, JMU, just come here. You're not keeping score. You're not. It would just make sense. But I don't know why Carolina can't get it right. I mean, this was their opportunity on the stage last night. They won't be treated like that again the rest of the year. Now, ESPN's always going to give a nod to Bill Belichick because that's what they do. He worked there, and they look at that as a marketing opportunity. They're going to keep an eye on it now going forward. And I don't think it's going to happen, but if they go down and struggle against the Charlotte 49ers, but when you have it, you better appreciate it because it's not easy to get back. Look at all the programs that are chasing. Go back to week one. Right? Look at all the top 25 teams. Right? LSU has not been able to find their traction under Brian Kelly as consistently as they would like. Now, they looked really good, especially defensively down at Clemson. Clemson's trying to get back here in the post-full throttle NIL era. And we were sold, Cade Klubnik was going to be that guy. They looked really pedestrian, got shut out in the second half. Dabo's having a tough time getting it back, even though now he's succumbed to the pressure of the NIL from the boosters. And Georgia's been very consistent. You can make an argument right now Kirby Smart's the best coach in the country just because of the way he runs his program at every level. They've been able to maintain a high level, and they'll probably be back in the national chase without any question. Oregon's got more money than anybody. By the way, got an interesting story here with Mike Gundy, the Oklahoma State coach, talking about Oregon. I'm going to get into that here. Ohio State's been that program. Somebody needs to explain to me. You watch Ohio State, right, against the Horseshoe. I'm in the Horseshoe against Texas. And I thought they were going to win the game, and they did. And I know that he's a little strange sometimes, and he hasn't won a lot of big games. But why in the world is there so much hate for Ryan Day? Ryan Day is a terrific football coach. Now, I know he's a little – and people make fun of his eyebrows. But that dude is a good coach. I don't think you need to always dig so inside. James Franklin is a really good coach at Penn State. Now, he hasn't been able to win any big games. Maybe this year changes that. Penn State, they're chasing coming back, right? After the horrible controversy there for, 10 years ago, whatever-ish. Maybe LSU's found it again. Maybe Florida State's going to find it again. They had it, got left out last year, crash and burn. Maybe Mike Norvell finds it again. Michigan, like Ohio State, it's interesting. Two Big Ten teams, they've been able to – they had Jim Harbaugh, so we'll see what it looks like now without him. Are they going to be the same thing as at a lower level? It's not as an extreme example as what Alabama is dealing with losing Nick Saban, whoever was going to follow up. Good luck. Michigan might have the same thing. Jim Harbaugh is a really, really good coach. And that's why the Chargers are going to be, I think, a contender going forward as long as he's doing it. He was good with the 49ers, and he was good at Stanford, and obviously he won a natty at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is maybe pound for pound the best, one of the top three football coaches we have. Again, a quirky dude, but I'm just saying. Oklahoma hasn't been able to get it back. Brent Venables gave up $1.5 million of his salary for the NIL. They're having all sorts of issues down there with the NIL down in Norman. How's it going to look? Texas A&M. There's not a program in the country that has more resources than Texas A&M. None. they haven't been able to consistently win. That's what I'm saying. It's not always about, not always about money. It always, I don't know. It just, to me, it's not always about money. Money helps, but it's not always about money. Just ask Jimbo Fisher, who's still going to get paid a lot of money going forward. Tennessee hasn't been able to find the right coach. Maybe they have him now. I don't know. Maybe he's that guy. Tennessee fans will tell you they're a top 10 program, but they're not. They're not. And obviously the prime example in the ACC is Miami. They've been chasing it since they entered the ACC. They've never won the ACC. That blows my mind to make that statement about the U. So there are only really a handful of programs, even with the advantages of money. There's only a handful of programs that consistently are up there that you can honestly say haven't fallen back to where they're not really a serious contender. I mean, look in the mighty SEC. Boy, they're going to be probably 12 teams, 13 teams in the ESPN FPI. It's just funny to look at. Auburn hasn't been able to find it again. Maybe they're on their way back. They went through several coaching changes. Auburn, which is more dedicated to football than probably any school that's not Alabama in the country. Texas, talking about resources. Any AD you talk to across the country will tell you Texas is the richest school in the country. They produce the most revenue out of their athletic department. When are they a serious contender? Not since Vince Young was dazzling Pete Carroll and all those illegal players at the time in the Rose Bowl. We've already talked about LSU. Georgia, the exception to the rule. Alabama's feeling it now. I mean, Alabama looked really, really uninterested to me. We'll see about what it looks like going forward. Florida, here we go. Talking about the SEC, Florida Gators. Speaking of resources. I mean, they're opening up against Long Island University. Where have they been for the last decade? Do you think they have money problems at Florida? No, they don't. Oklahoma having a tough transfer over into the SEC or the Big 12. We already talked about them. A&M, we just talked about them. Ole Miss, resources and upon resources. They're actually a program that's been kind of consistent because Lane Kiffin is a really good coach and he's a heck of a college recruiter, even in the NIL era that he professes not to like, but then he has to like all the money that comes in. We already talked about Tennessee. Mississippi State is a never was. Kentucky is a never was. Arkansas. They got money. Vanderbilt's always been at the bottom. So tell me about the SEC, the richest conference, the conference that controls everything in college sports. And tell me how many of these programs are in prime position to win a national title. What did I just list? Maybe 2 or 3? And they've got no money woes whatsoever. And they're telling everybody else the way college sports is going to go. So it's hard. Winning is hard. Good morning, Rodney. How are you? Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. That's a good question, Jimmy. I don't know. Is Florida State Miami back or did they just catch lightning in a bottle? That's why you don't want to overreact one way or the other after week 1. All right? You don't want to crown somebody a champion. You don't want to just bury somebody. I don't know. It's a good question. We'll find out. They both came away with big wins against college football's 2 biggest blue bloods. Historically. Not now, but historically. Notre Dame and Alabama. Wayne thinks, in spite of last night, thinks the ACC may be getting its mojo back. Correct. And that's when I went through the list. There could be something to that. They might be very top-heavy this year, the ACC. Trust me, everybody in the league, no matter what you think of Florida State, wants Florida State and Miami to be back. SMU is just going to sit there all year, aren't they? They're going to do the same thing they did last year. Hey, we're SMU. Yeah, look at us. We're 6-0. Oh, look, we're 9-0. You still going to leave us out of the top 10 ESPN FBI? SMU's really good. They're not going anywhere. Clemson, I'm not buying Clemson yet. Phil Steele will know more about college football than I will ever. He'll forget more about college football than I will ever know. Most of us. He had Clemson playing the national title game. I didn't see a big difference in Clemson. And I watched that game very closely. I wanted to watch. Now, they're talented. They have big linemen. I think they'll be okay, Wayne. You're probably right. And LSU maybe LSU is showing you they're going to be better than people think. That's why week one, you got to be careful, right? You're not really sure. You're not really sure. Derek says, how did North Carolina go out and not get a legit quarterback? Same goes for Alabama. Great point. New trend seems to be to bring in a hot offensive quarterback combo. Like, there you go. Gus Malzahn, Castellanos, Arbuckle, Mateer for Oklahoma. We'll see about Oklahoma's situation, though. I do like Mateer. But the big story coming out of Norman was, hey, the coach gave up $1.5 million of salary. Is the Big Ten the superior conference? We just went over it. I don't know. But I'm telling you this. Ohio State and Michigan don't seem to drop down as much as some of these SEC schools in terms of national prominence. Raise your hand if you're a college football fan and you would like Ryan Day to be the head coach of your football team. I mean, he gets criticized all the time. And what do? Oh, that's right. They won the national championship. Texas is number one. Arch Manning, here comes. Oh, my goodness, look at all the Mannings. They're there. Let's go into the horseshoe. Ohio State's who? Hey, they scored how many points against Ohio State's defense? 7? Okay. Is Ohio State the best program in the country right now? Aren't they? Is that breaking news here on the program? Is Ohio State the best team in the country right now? The best college football program right now? I think maybe so.
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
I mean, just as we're sitting here talking about it. Thank you so much, Neil, for finding the old no guy. Did everybody hear the old no guy okay? I hope so, because he's going to be a very prominent factor here in the program going forward. All right, Marva, if you're watching, I just sent you your invite. There you go. Marva's going to come up. We're going to talk about this. I'm not going to give her a hard time about Carolina. I'm just curious as to what she thinks about it. Yes, everybody heard the okay, good. Yeah, so Neil made my day. He showed me that he found it on Sunday. I could never find it. Neil found it in like 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Boom, it's there. Is Ohio State the best team in the country, right? The best program in the country? Yeah, it's true. Once they saw Michigan going forward, that's probably where Ryan Day gets a lot of his credit, the trouble they've had with Michigan. But you wouldn't take that guy as your head football coach? Have you seen his record? It's like almost 80%. Whatever. What is his record? Somebody look up his record. What's Ryan? Let me look up Ryan Day's record. He's got what? 1 or 2 national titles? Let's see here. As of spring, he's now 71-10. Won the 25 Natty, 3 Big Ten titles, 3 college football playoff appearances since taking over in 2018. The only thing about it, he's 1-4 against Michigan, as Wayne pointed out. He's 46-5. He's 46-5 in Big Ten games. He's only lost 1 game that doesn't involve Michigan, and that's where he gets criticized. 1-4 against Michigan. 71-10 And yet there are people who are Ohio State people want him out of Columbus. Okay, good luck. You know how long it would take him to find a job if they ever ran him out of there after another Michigan loss? Would he be employed the next morning? 71-10 in this era of college football. You just won the Natty. Okay, you don't beat Michigan. I know that rubs people the wrong way. Hey, Tech fan, if you had a head coach that just won a Natty, but oh my goodness, you lost to Michigan, would you? I mean, you lost to Virginia, would you care? If you're parading the national championship trophy up and down Southgate Drive, right? Some UVA fan, yes, I know that you've got everything over there, but hey, we beat you, remember? Actual footage from UVA fan, if that were to happen. But hey, here's the difference. UVA is not going to start beating Tech. 71-10. Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's good. You imagine if Tech had a coach that was 71-10? Jeez Louise. Michigan aside, have you ever watched Ohio State play and they don't look like they're prepared? Have you heard Ohio State complain about the landscape of college athletics? No, they know they're going to have money. They have a really strong administration. They're in the other power league, so they're set for life. And they have a head football coach who's 71-10. And he took over, for a guy who kind of left abruptly and program wasn't in great shape. And all he does is he's go out and he knocks off number 1 Texas in week 1 and holds them to 7 points. But yet, if they have any kind of bump in the road, if they go undefeated and lose to Michigan, you're going to have Ohio State fans that are going to say that he shouldn't be there anymore. And I know you got to beat your rival. I get it. I understand it completely, but give me the give and take that you would have. I mean, Tech fan, are you happy that you beat UVA every year right now and you beat them handily? It's not even a rivalry anymore. You've beaten them up so bad. What is it, 18 out of 19, whatever it is? Somebody check my math. But yet you go out and you put forth a 6-7 season. Does it still make you happy that go, well, you know what? We're going into a year where it's make or break. If we don't do well, we're going to lose our AD and our head coach and start all over again. But boy, we beat Virginia with our backup quarterback, Pop Watson. Is that good enough for you? Or do you want to be Ohio State fan Ryan Day, be 71-10? Oh, we just won the Natty. Did you beat Michigan? No, we didn't beat Michigan, but we beat everybody in the playoff. You tell me. You tell me which you would rather have. It's hard to win. And if I'm Ohio State, I go to Ryan Day, and let's say they have another big deal, a big year, which they're going to, and they do beat Michigan. Hell, I'd give him a lifetime contract. Here you go, coach. Here's 10-year extension. We'll let you fill it in every year because you're winning 80+% of your games in 2025 college football era. But hey, that guy's not a good coach. That guy can't coach. Ryan Day. Tell you what, we need to run him out of here. Woo. By the way, thanks to, again, Wayne from Ohio for my beverage container. All the great stuff I've gotten. I don't have it down here yet, but I want to thank, I've got Zach Helton, who's the voice at Bluefield State, sent me a really cool Bluefield State football jersey. Mike Palmer, out of the graciousness of his heart, is building me a backdrop. So pretty soon I'll have a proper backdrop, and I'll have this stuff on. I've got my Donnie Lynn Mount jersey, which, by the way, is very similar colors to Bluefield State. Zach, thank you so much. Zach's a great dude. I'm going to have him on here. Need to get Zach on here on a regular basis. He's a funny guy, and he's a good broadcaster. But he's the voice at Bluefield State. Big Blue. He sent me a really cool jersey. Well, get all this stuff. I'm going to get all this stuff up if I'm still doing the program in a month. Got to get that subscription base up. I need everybody to go out and mark it for me. Tell them it's free. Subscribe. Yeah, David, exactly. Who are you going to – if you're stupid enough to get rid of a guy like Ryan Day ever, who in the world would you even – there's nobody. Jimbo Fisher. Hey, I can do it. I'll do it right now. Heck yeah, I'll do it. I've been wanting to coach now for the last 3 years. I'm sick of cashing in big checks, watching all these games. I can do it. I mean, I did it down at College Station. Oh, that didn't go so well down there. But you know what? I can do it at Ohio State. So meters, Jimbo Fisher sounds a lot like Ross Perot. Remember Ross Perot? The answer is there's nobody really you could replace him with. Right? Was that just a setup, David, to get me to do Jimbo Fisher? I wish he would get a job, though. He's trying to get a job. Jimbo's trying to get a job. He's out telling people he's ready to go. Good luck. What is it he's making? Double $1 million? Is it like $10 million? I mean, whatever it is. For not coaching, and he wants to get back into coaching? I just I see you now on the text line, Wayne. Lifetime supply of beard dye for Ryan Day. Yeah. He's got a weird-looking beard. He's got weird eyebrows. I will counter your move with 71-10, and he just won a natty. I will counter your criticism of his grooming with an unbelievable one-loss record. And they just beat number 1 Texas. And they sell out the 115,000 seat stadium, the Horseshoe, every game. But yet there are people who were talking about, because they lost to Michigan going into the playoff last year, and the year people were saying that he shouldn't be there. Ryan Day is just not the guy. Okay. How many programs would fire their current coach if Ryan Day got on the market? If they thought they could get him? Or would have these secret conversations with Ryan Day's agents? Hey, listen. What's it going to take? I mean, I think I would sacrifice, if I'm a Tech fan, beating Virginia like a drum every year and having a team that's, in ACC contention. That's why it all circles back to this week, and I'm just not sure that this week isn't the game that puts Tech season on the brink. I'm going to ask Mike Burnup that question. He's probably going to shoot me down on it. But I think week 2, you have 2 winnable games after that. Nobody's really going to care. Old Dominion and Wofford, you're going to watch them. Tech should win them both. You're going to be like, okay. Then you're going to go to Raleigh and take on the Wolfpack, and then it kind of starts over again. There you go. So it's 19 out of 20 since Virginia Tech joined the ACC. I think I said 18 out of 19. Thanks, Hokie Bob. Hit us up on the McClellan chat room. So Tech 19-1 against UVA. Okay, that's great. How does that make you feel overall about the program? Right? David says, if my coach was 71-10, he could have cornrows and I wouldn't care. Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Ohio State fan, I show up at the game wearing like a fake beard and thick eyebrows just to celebrate a guy who's 71-10. Speaking of which, as we segue into hour number 2 here from our Family Fencing Studios, we're joined now. There she is. It's Marva in Miami, whose current head football coach at her alma mater will not ever be 71. Hey, good morning, Marva. How are you?
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
What?
Like, do you hear weird sound? Am I getting weird audio?
Yeah, you sound a little weird.
Okay, something weird is happening on my end, and I can't figure out what it is. I'm so sorry. I'm new to this technology.
No, you look
I try to
great.
figure everything out, but now I can't see you.
You can't see me?
Okay, now I can see you. Okay.
Hey, Marva.
Hi.
No, you look great. You look great now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know what was going on.
Your sound's a little muffled, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't figure that out.
That's all right. That's all right. All right, let's get right into it. Last night, and I'm not even going to troll you like, the TCU football count did, the Carolina count. Have you seen that, by the way?
I have not. How bad is it?
Well, let me show you this. You're going to enjoy this. You ready?
Okay.
All right. So they did this because North Carolina obviously put out their thing about the Bill Belichick. He says, hey, excited to showcase the program this fall on Hulu. And then TCU, after the game, said, hey, when does the first episode come out?
Wow. Okay. Carolina deserves that. It's whatever. I will accept that. I'll take it. This was...
Your thoughts?
It was bad, okay? But, Rick, what we have to focus on is that it started out really well, okay?
Yeah, that first drive was
there
great.
was so much hype out there. I mean, the Keene Stadium was just rocking. They kept showing, the suite, with Michael Jordan and Roy Williams and Lawrence Taylor, Mia Hamm. They were showing Julius Peppers out in the field, talking to the players. Everybody was excited. I mean, I had friends who flew down from the DC area to see this. I had people who drove several hours to see this. And I'm thinking, am I missing out? But I had done whatever I could to be there.
You should have. Yes, you should have.
And I was feeling bad. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm missing all the fun. But then the game started, Rick. And again, it looked good. The first series, I mean, Carolina marched that ball down the field, scored, quickly. Everybody, again, super excited. And then reality reality set in. I don't know what happened to the offense. Like Gio
we got Youngin circulating again.
Yes, trying to explain what happened. Okay, I can explain what happened, Rick. Very bad things happened for Carolina. I don't know what, we had this new quarterback in Gio Lopez, transfers from South Alabama, and everybody, again, he looked good on that first series. But, going back, it was mainly like 3 rushing plays that were very successful. And then he had a couple of long passes, and I was feeling hopeful, right? And then, I don't know, that first score, Caleb Hood ran in a touchdown for Carolina, and everybody, again, it was so fast. Everybody's talking about it. 7 plays, Rick, 83 yards, a little over 4 minutes. But
then you're thinking, wow, it's going to work.
Yeah, the offense just stagnated, and it was bad. I mean, TCU, they had a pick 6, and it still, though, felt like, okay, this ship can be turned around until, the beginning of the third quarter. And that was when things just, all the wheels fell off at that point, Rick. Mm-hmm. It was, TCU, they came out, their first play from line of scrimmage in that third quarter, Kavarian Barnes, he ran a 75-yard touchdown for them. And it's just, at that point, I have some friends who I was texting, what's going on? At that point, they were leaving.
We've had enough. We're going to head back out to the parking lot.
Yeah, people were leaving. And, when I was actually at Carolina, I never left a game early, no matter what. It was just a thing for me. I just would not leave. I never left a game early. I would stay to the bitter end and try to be hopeful. And I'm still a glass half full person. But, and I do have some bright spots for you, believe it or not, for Carolina. But I think a lot of people were forgetting. Yes, I do have some bright spots. A lot of people were forgetting that TCU came in there. They had a veteran quarterback in Josh Hoover. They also won 9 games last year. And I think people, I don't know, people were sort of forgetting. Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
he
their
was saying,
coach
yeah,
said.
that people were forgetting about them. And
Yeah, he was
before the
mad.
game even started, it was that whole "we feel disrespected" thing.
Absolutely.
Some of the analysts were saying, we talked to players and they said they felt disrespected. And you hear that all the time. And honestly, I didn't think much of it, but I guess it really had an impact. Because I felt like at the end, I felt like they were running up a score, which I didn't like. But it's big time athletic. There's no such thing as like you shouldn't complain about that. You should try to stop.
Well, there's
I
something
don't
to
have
that. That's a great
I
point.
don't have a problem with it. Like some
That's a
people
great
say it's
point.
disrespectful, but I don't, because you're on the same level. These teams are on the same level. It's big time college football. Stop them. So I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't think it's nice when little kids are playing.
No, you don't want to do that in
that's
little
not
kid
nice.
sports.
But these are big boys, right? These are grown men playing, and so I don't have a problem with that. I think the bright light I was talking about, because again, glass half full person. The bright light is when UNC starter went out. Gio Lopez, he had an injury. He got a really bad hit to the lower back. I have not heard. I don't know what his status is going forward, but it was bad. That forced Carolina to bring in the backup. And the backup, I thought he looked really good. I was excited to see Matt Johnson come in. He suffered a really devastating injury last year, first game of the year. He broke his leg. And I felt bad. They were talking about it during the broadcast. I did not know how close he came to losing that leg.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the injury had been that severe. So kudos to him for doing that hard rehab, getting back out there. And he actually looked really good. Now, I don't know that they took a long time to start pulling starters. I still think he was going against starters when he first went out there, and he just had a command of the field that Gio Lopez did not have.
Dykes was making a statement. You're right. He left starters out there intentionally. There's no question.
Because he was upset about being disrespected. And I don't have a problem with it. I know some people do, but I don't. Whatever. You always talk, you have to back it up. If you can't back it up, you risk being embarrassed. They were embarrassed, and I think that will be fuel for them for the rest of the season. They have a short week. They go to Charlotte to play. And, Charlotte's a very tough team. You probably heard a lot of hype around them. So I think they should be able to turn it around against Charlotte. And the next 3 games actually look very winnable for the Heels. So I think that this will be a learning experience. And one thing I learned I did not know before last night is that Bill Belichick, first time he coached in the NFL, he lost. He lost to the Dallas Cowboys. And then he went on to have a storied career and win 6 Super Bowls. So there's some talk that he's now going to go on and win 6 national championships.
Oh, really? That's going to happen now?
And when he does that, then he will, of course, be the greatest coach of all time. And I've heard a lot of people saying that's going to happen.
Let me ask you this. And a serious question. I'm not even going to troll you because embarrassing is the only word you can use. You mentioned all the
devastating.
It really was. It's going to be tough to bounce back and try to sell Bill Belichick's promotional value for a while. Okay, all that aside, places like Carolina, you can go back. It's been a long time. It didn't work with the Mac Brown. It worked the first time. Of course, they couldn't keep him because Texas came and plucked him away, and he won a national title. But since then, it just hasn't happened in Chapel Hill. And there's very few programs in the country that have more resources than North Carolina. I know a lot of people down there, and I ask them the question. They say, we never want for anything. We haven't fretted about the NIL. When we need something, we have donors, we have money. It doesn't matter. What is it about North Carolina and the football program, do you think, because you were a grad, you were there, why can't they get over the hump?
I think it comes down to, Carolina's a basketball school. And even with all this excitement about Bill Belichick, there's a lot of people already talking about basketball season. They've looked beyond this. They're excited about the recruits that Carolina has coming in.
That's a good
point.
So
I think if you have a really good coach, and I know that Belichick's a good coach, but he hasn't done this on college level. A lot of people don't want to play second fiddle to that basketball coach and that basketball program. And I think Carolina's going to have to keep doing new things and keep showing, hey, we're serious about this football thing. And I think we were starting to see that, bringing Belichick in, that shows, we want to shake things up, want to be serious about football. And I'm still hopeful, Rick, that things are going to turn around. I mean, Carolina, again, very winnable games against Charlotte, Richmond, UCF.
Well, UCF, okay. They're not going to beat UCF.
Winnable games. These are winnable games. Rick, I think things you're going to see a turnaround. I do. I don't think it's going to continue to be like this. But again, Carolina brought in a lot of new players this year. It's like
70.
That's 70, yeah. A large number of new players. And people are just getting to know each other, getting to gel, seeing who plays well together and who really wants it. And one thing I was excited to see is that there were players still hustling even at the end, because sometimes a team is getting blown out and people kind of mail it in. There were players still trying to do things. And I was excited about that, because a lot of these guys, they don't know what's going to happen with them down the road. And they want to show, hey, look, I'm committed. I'm ready to go. So again, and I think we may see Carolina do a quarterback change. I don't know what the status is again with Gio Lopez, but Matt Johnson came in and looked a lot better. And one thing I am questioning with the coaching staff is the offense just, I don't know, after that first drive just stagnated. Why not bring Matt Johnson in earlier and give him a shot and see what he would do? But I know coaches are reluctant to do that. You don't want to destroy someone's confidence. And I do get that. But, I mean, nothing was happening. What does it hurt, really, to try something new? And you could even tell the guy, look, maybe you just don't have it today. It's okay. No. We still believe in you, but we got to try something to, even if you just put the backup in for a couple series just to see, does anything happen? Because, again, he looked good. He very poised. He was getting the ball out quickly.
He did.
Give this guy a chance. And I just, like I said, I didn't know his inspiring story. I just, of course, knew he broke his leg. Again, no idea that he came close to losing it. Like people don't realize sometimes we forget just what can happen on that field. So.
To your point about their schedule, I mean, the road games they have, Charlotte, which they're doing as a huge favor for the school. UCF on the road won't be easy. But then you go to Cal in the ACC. That's not necessarily a football juggernaut. You go to Syracuse, tough to play in the Dome, but at Wake, and Wake is not good, and then at NC State in the rival game. So to your point, it's not a daunting slate. They really have a pretty easy. They play Clemson, Virginia, Stanford. They have the Duke game, obviously. So
and
it's not
Clemson
like it's
started the season with a loss, and who knows? I mean, there's a lot of people that expecting big things. I have a child behind me. Oh my goodness!
People thought they saw you in the suite last night. Was that you behind MJ? People were asking if that was you behind MJ in the suite last night.
It was not. I wasn't going to mention this. I did get an invite, but I knew I had to get the kids ready for school this morning. So,
did you turn MJ down last night again? You know how long he's been trying to court you?
I don't think he's not trying to court me, please. We're both very happily married people, but just as a UNC
I'm
supporter,
sure he's happily married.
Yeah. The funny thing is about that is I don't know. He actually has a second wife, and they've been together. I was trying to remember. I don't know, 5-10 years, whatever. And I was looking up in the suite. There was a woman beside him, and I was like, I didn't know what his wife looked like, honestly. And I was like, is that her? And that turns out, no, that was Belichick's girlfriend was up there for a while. So I don't know. I think isn't her name Jordan? Funny, oddly enough, Jordan. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think her first name is Jordan. But anyway.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think her first name is Jordan. So whatever. I don't know. All the games are sold out now, Rick, even if I wanted to go this season.
It looked great. That's what I'm saying. It looked awesome. I mean, that was a rocket. I mean, they were bought in, and then they look up and they walk out of there. Ooh, what was it? 48-14? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 48-14, and then you see all the sad, they love to do the crowd shots, and I don't blame them. I mean, if I was producing the show, I would do it, but people just looking dejected, head down, people walking out of the stadium. But at the end of the season, people are going to remember this, and they're going to say, this is what sparked it. This is what sparked the role. If there's, you can easily make playoff as a one-loss team. And remember, they're undefeated in the ACC.
Sure. 2-loss team even. You can get in there. Yeah.
It can happen.
I don't think Carolina's probably in that conversation as being a potential 2-loss team.
Well, you think they'll probably just have the one loss?
Yeah, they're going to just run the table now, right, going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to fix it.
That's what I'm hearing, Rick. I don't know what you're hearing there in Virginia, but still a lot of people saying that's going to happen.
Do you think, before we let you go, you watch Florida State, Miami, I know, you think they're actually on the right track? I still don't overreact. They have 2 big wins. We'll see. Just like we're not overreacting about Belichick.
But they looked good. I mean,
did.
I think Miami, they got that win, but I also think they should be concerned about how they gave up that lead. I think that
fourth quarter was bad.
Yeah, that wasn't good. And that means there are things that need to be tightened up. But they look pretty impressive. I mean, Florida State even more so. So, I mean, I'm excited about the ACC. Of course, I'm always excited about the ACC, but I'm thinking that Florida State's going to make some noise, and Miami, if they get those problems tightened up from that fourth quarter, because again, you cannot give up a big lead like that. I don't want to use the word lucky, but you usually that doesn't go well for you.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't.
So I'm excited. It's start of the season, Hope springs eternal.
Well, it was anyway. Yeah. It was exciting. Now you're just kind of fingers crossed, hoping that it gets.
Great slate of games coming up, at least for Carolina.
Yeah.
Who knows? You go to Charlotte. It's exciting.
No, it's
Queen
gonna be
City.
exciting. Queen City, baby. Woo! Watch out. Well, listen, I appreciate you as always, and you proud of me for not trolling you? I wasn't going to troll you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I was prepared for that. I was prepared to take that. Yes.
No. I'll let TCU's trolling handle it for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they can take that. Yeah, take that. Let's see how they, how they do the rest of the season. We'll see.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But they need their moment because they were being ignored. Yes.
NFL week's coming up. Your husband's ready for the Cowboys, I'm sure, right?
Yes. Every day he's watching.
Happy about the Micah Parsons trade?
Oh, no. But his favorite thing, and he actually he must be upset with me. He just turned my light off. Sorry about that, guys. He's going to say that was an accident. But,
are you getting played off the stage right now?
I was going to say, he's excited at the beginning of every season. Every year is going to be their year. He does. His favorite pastime is watching, oddly enough, we're on YouTube, watching cowboy shows on YouTube. There's so many. I didn't know. There are a lot of them, and he loves to watch them.
Well, they have to watch those old shows because they haven't won anything since '94. Oh. That's a long time. It's
Rick,
31
you said
years.
that, not me. So because he's actually.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trolling. I just facts. It's science.
They had their glory days.
Well, listen, I hope you and the fam have a great week. Give my best to your hubby. See how they do in week 1 on Thursday night, kicking off the season against the defending champs. That's right. Yeah. Exciting times. Yeah.
Should
see
be
how it goes.
Interesting.
Stay warm down there. What is the temperature this morning?
I don't even know. Can I look down and check?
Yeah, look down real quick.
I have no idea what the temperature is.
48 degrees here, by the way.
It's 78. 78. And it's supposed to get up to, let's see, I don't know. It's supposed to get up to 92. It's going to be a good day.
That's too hot. See, we've been good here the last couple of weeks, so I'm not going to complain about the weather.
Yeah, don't complain.
No, I'm not complaining.
Nothing wrong with being in the 40s. And soon
That's
you
right.
guys will be what?
A little cold in the mornings, a little chilly in the morning. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be
all right, we'll be good. Give my best to everybody in the fam.
Will do, Rick. Have a good one.
All right, go Heels. There you go. It's Marva Miami joining us on the program. Appreciate her as always. I didn't troll her. I wasn't going to. I thought what they did marketing-wise was great. They had, obviously, the ESPN machine behind it, and then they go out and they get punked by TCU. The Horned Frogs felt like they were being treated with disrespect, and they went out and said, don't do that. Leave us alone. Want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here in Reiner. Get a free quote today, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. No dig installation system. Go call Jason Green and those guys. Get them to check out your property if you want a privacy line, if you want to just fence in a small area, it doesn't matter. 540-200-8294. Free quotes, finance options available. Nobody's asking you to pay for it all at once. Come on. It would just be crazy talk, right? McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley and the gang, thank you very much. Our chat room explodes every show. So good choice there, Mark. Went to his office last week, and he showed me all the new technology, blew me away. You don't have to get popped anymore with some dude who weighs 300 pounds. Not that Mark weighs 300 pounds. But, popping you and twisting you around. They have these machines that do – it's crazy. It's crazy. I want to volunteer. I'd be glad to be on the – hey, yeah, let's see how this thing goes. Let's do that. Let's just do that a few times. Very proud to say this program is presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Looking forward to having Jonathan Sweet on and his crew here soon, talk about everything going on in Pulaski County and how they're building up the economical ecosystem around the whole place through athletics and recreation. It's awesome. So I'm very proud, place where I grew up, to see them adapting to the times and exceeding and flourishing. It's awesome stuff. Thanks to Charles Lee and everybody at Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Already been told, there's been several people that's reached out, heard us talking about it. Getting cold in the mornings. September's here. Go ahead and get your units checked out early. Don't hesitate to call Little River Heating and Air. They are the best in the world. And National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST here on YouTube. I've been with National Bank, I'm going to say 35 years, well over 30 years. Never had a problem. Great folks, wherever branch you go into, always nice. They give you a big smile. They're willing to help. You don't always get that. Sometimes you get folks who look at you like they don't want to deal with you. It's never the case at National Bank. So thanks to Lara Ramsey, the new president and CEO. She's going to do a great job. Great job. And Ryan Pry, thank you. The attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford, our BDST question of the week. And I guess that's kind of what let's do this. Here's our question of the week. This will be pretty good. Let's say, and I'm not predicting this, but let's say Virginia Tech doesn't have the season they need to have. Tech fan, who would you like to be the next football coach at Virginia Tech? That's going to be our next Ryan Pry attorney, prylawoffice.com, by the way, 540-838-2233. That's our VDST fan question of the week. Who would you like to be the next coach at Virginia Tech if that situation presents itself? And this isn't, me trying to say that that's going to happen, but just say theoretically that it does. I mean, we all want the season to be positive so everybody keeps jobs and we're not talking about this crap. But just in case it doesn't, who would you want to be the next coach at Virginia Tech? That's our BDST fan question of the week. But Bill Belichick's probably not going to be on that list. David Smith going to join us. Speaking of the Sports and More podcast, which just debuted yesterday. Check it out. See, look, there we are. Looks like I'm wearing a derby. Looks like I'm wearing a jockey's derby. Doesn't it? In any event, it's up on the channel right now. So go check it out. David's going to go through the NFL. We got a lot of stuff to get through with David here. And then Mike Burnop to finish up our guest run today on the program. David's going to recap the weekend in football. We're going to go through all the division winners in both AFC and NFC, playoff predictions, Super Bowl prediction, MVP, Coach of the Year, and then we're going to have our picks. We got a lot to get through in our half hour together. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. But check out our podcast. We're going to do a lot of stuff. We're going to have a lot of great guests on there. And that thing's there for the taking, man. We can do whatever we want on the Sports and More podcast. It was fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to aim for an hour every time because David and I start talking and we look up. Like yesterday, we were like, oh, we're an hour done. We're in. We guess we better end it. So, but it doesn't always have to be an hour. It might extend out. Just it depends. There are no rules. As always, please go and like all the videos, watch, and subscribe. Tell people it's free. Remind them that it's free. We need your assistance there. It's very important. It is one of the main metrics that YouTube uses. I have a gentleman who's assigned to the show because we are a live program in the morning, and they keep tabs of it. They're very happy with the metrics. The views have been outstanding. The watches per episode went up. We added 65 or so subscriptions this past week alone. But you know how it is. You want more. Just like Ohio State fan who's got Ryan Day at 71-10, just off a natty, yet they want him out of there. Not all, but some. So please remind people how easy it is to go in and subscribe. It's free. We need to get the subscription base up. And hopefully at some point I'll be able to, this is just a startup still. So once I get a little bit of currency built up, I will go and we will see if we can do about marketing us out. Maybe you'll see us on a billboard one day. How could it be? See the new show up on a billboard as you're driving up and down 81. Right? Put the billboard up there at the new logo, put a QR code right there. And I'm having some t-shirt designs mocked up this week for those of you that continue to ask. So that's coming up this week. Wayne's already answered Sam Siefkas for the next head coach. Yes, after one game. I was very impressed with the defensive adjustments. We'll talk to Mike Burnop about that at 8 o'clock. I was very impressed. Now, will that be a long-term thing? Kind of feels like it is. And I really believe Kyron Drones will play better. He's going to play a lot better. Did not play well. But I think he'll play better, and I think it starts this week. Mark says, I hope Pry's still the guy with his personality coordinators. He could get things rolling if he can get over the hump, but that basically comes down to this Saturday. That's right. That's why I think this is it, 100%. I'm with you. Rodney says, breaking news, wreck on 81 billboard is a distraction. But they'd be crazy not to go after Matt Campbell, who, by the way, was heavily rumored to want an opportunity to interview for the job when they hired Brent Pry. Remember, we talked about it on the old show. You think the new BDST billboard would be too big of a distraction? Have me like popping out with 3D arms? That would scare anybody. Have like the arms coming out like through the billboard. Subscribe. Ah, Daddy, what's that? Yeah, Matt Campbell. I don't think he ever got an interview. You never really quite know those things, but I don't think he ever got an official interview. He wanted one. Didn't happen. That's right. Yeah, I'm going to abuse it here. We owe Neil Leahy a lot. But, yeah, exactly. If you're driving down the road and you look up and you see the new billboard, this is the first thing you're going to say.
Oh, right oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
Still to this day, the absolute greatest call of any game in the history of sports. Ryan Pry, the attorney, by the way, who sponsors our BDST question of the week. He's not 100% sold this week being make or break. If they make it back to the conference title game, nothing about the Nuts conference slate matters. Yeah, it feels like it's a long climb to get back in the conversation and making it to the conference title game. I think for me, it's make or break in the mindset of the fan base as well as the season. Now, you're going to get 2 wins after that because you host Old Dominion and Wofford, and then the next make or break game is obviously open up conference play in Raleigh because I'm never sold on NC State, and Tech usually plays well in Raleigh. But if you go 0-2 and you had 2 opportunities against the almighty SEC, and then you lose a Saturday night home game, games that used to be an afterthought. It wasn't if Tech was going to win. It was, how bad are they going to beat this team on a night, Thursday, Saturday, whenever it was at Lane Stadium? And if it's Vanderbilt, still, Vanderbilt got them last year, but Tech still should have won that game even with all the mistakes they made. Then where does the fan base sit at 0-2? That's the question. So, Ryan, you're right. In reality, is the season over if they go 0-2? No, because no conference games have been played. But how do the fans respond going forward? How do the fans respond going forward? All right, I just got my. Let me just read you the analytics report. I just got it here as we wait for David Smith to join us. I just got it. Just got the analytics report from the channel. All the new live streams. They're happy about that. Very happy about that. We had over 1.9 thousand people tune us in. They love that. That is big for them. This is what they watched. Obviously, the Tuesday show last week with Marty and Coach. People just didn't reach out. They responded. 445 new likes, 94 new shares, and 29 new comments. All right. Remember to always push the subscription count. See, there you go. Yeah, you guys are doing great. But Wayne says BT loses to Vandy another year with no wins versus Power 4 streak continues. Got to win. Yeah, out of conference, you mean? Yeah, sure. 100%. I just, and maybe it's silly to think that, but maybe my mindset's completely off and maybe Ryan's right. But it feels like it's a must type of win for Tech in that game. Just given the metrics of it, given how it would look in that contest. All right, I mentioned it. We debuted it yesterday, and not only do we have the brand new show, the Sports and More podcast, we also have David Smith here on his regular segment, and there he is, looking awesome as ever. Good morning, David. How are you?
Good morning, Rick. So much for technology and being okay at it. I was logged into the Sports and More podcast StreamYard this morning, and they say to me, "You're the only one here." So I'm not on the solo venture yet. So I'm here with my guy Rick, and so here we are. Good morning, everybody, and great to be here with you finally.
Yeah, it's great. And we did debut our podcast yesterday, and letting people know about it and everything is there it is, Sports and More with you and me. I'm not sure if I'm wearing a ball cap or it looks like I just finished up taking a horse through the Preakness Stakes, doesn't it? I'm not really sure what I got going on there, but there you go. There's our logo.
It looks like the hat needs a little more of a build to it. I'm glad it's not turned to the side. Look like they didn't finish making it, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. We got a whole lot to get to. Look, first of all, let's get in. We touched on a little bit, but Bill Belichick. Ooh, kind of looks like the post NFL Tom Brady era, doesn't it? Right now in Chapel Hill.
Well, there's so much to think about on this. I watched the beginning, like everyone. First series, you're thinking, what's not to love about this? But it's eerily similar to South Carolina's first series against Virginia Tech Sunday. Yeah. Straight down the field, moment just became a lot for the defense in that first one. And so you're thinking to yourself, of course he's got these guys playing like they should play. Everyone was feeling it. Jordan's in the crowd and the whole bit. I appreciate the pageantry of it. Everyone. Yeah. I was talking to my wife about it, Pebbles, and we were like, everybody loves football. The first series of it, we've been waiting so long that anything gets you going. You're just like, yep, here we go. We'll be in the championship game right out of the gate. TCU was so unbothered. And by the way, who did TCU make mad to have to open the season 2 out of 3 years?
I know.
Against arguably the most media paid attention to new coaching hire in the history of it. But to Sonny Dykes' credit, bring it on. We'll take it all.
He got mad.
And of course, and of course, Shedeur lit him up that year. I think I looked it up last night. I said, how good was Shedeur? Threw for 510 yards in that game a couple years ago and really got Colorado's momentum going. But Sonny Dykes is so unbothered. His guys just stayed poised, and they just absolutely went on a 41 straight unanswered point streak. And Carolina with 70 new players. And so you start thinking about this thing, and I think it's important to just remember, no matter who you are or where you coach, if you turn a roster over that much,
70
players. And if you remember, Deion did a lot of the same thing the first year, and it wasn't quite great then either. It
didn't go well first year. Yeah.
No, it's just hard. I can only imagine that many football players coming in, having to learn a new thing. So it's very hard to just flip that thing over. And they were so anxious to move on from Mac Brown and go to this. And I'm not going to call it gloom and doom yet because
not yet.
as a fan of the AFC East, I remember a couple years ago, that the Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots 35-0 on the first or second weekend of the NFL season. Beat them to death. And I think they had maybe traded Lawyer Malloy or something had happened where they got smoked. And they're like, I see. And later that year, all the Patriots did was rally, get that thing figured out. I think that's the year they made a Super Bowl and maybe won it. So he's too good a coach. The question becomes, is his methodology dated? I don't know. They didn't look great last night. Does he have enough of his guys in there to do the things he wants? Teddy Bruschi isn't walking out of that locker room, right? Mike Vrabel isn't walking out of that locker room. So can it all happen at this particular point? We will see. And it did not look great because there were some fundamental and basic parts of it, Rick, that you were looking for that, okay, we're not going to be great, but we're going to be built enough to do it. And I just didn't see enough of it last night to give you a lot of optimism. So like we'll say on our other program, prove me wrong.
Prove us wrong.
I'll be the first to admit it.
All right, speaking of the NFL, National Football League, and it gets underway on Thursday, defending champs taking on the Cowpokes. And let's get to it. Your division winners in the AFC. And, of course, we say the AFC, the superior league, because both of our teams reside there, the Broncos and the Dolphins. So
yeah, they reside there. My Dolphins haven't won a Super Bowl in 52 years.
I know, it's crazy.
But they're residing there. They're residing in the AFC. So here we go, 1 through 7. The division winners as we rank them right here. The Ravens, I've got the Ravens winning their division. I've got them coming out as a 1 seed. I got the Chiefs coming out as a 2 seed, Buffalo Bills as the 3, and the Texans as the 4 seed. So those are your division winners in the AFC. And here's my 5, 6, and 7 wild card teams. I've got the Steelers as the 5, the Bengals as the 6, and the Broncos as the 7. So no Chargers, which is probably got a few eyebrows raised. So I just feel like right now that Sean Payton, Bo Nix has got it going. This one's a little dicey for me. The Steelers being in as a 5. And as I mentioned to you yesterday on our podcast, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers can do enough things with Mike Tomlin to take what Mike Tomlin already does and just move it up a notch. Pittsburgh's never horrible under Mike Tomlin. Adequate quarterback play can be enough to make them be relevant in the AFC. I believe I've got them as the 5. And so for a lot of people, that'll be where the Chargers may fall in. I feel like right now that's where I have it landing. So there's the AFC 1 through 7. Now, I can go on and do the playoffs for them. You want me to go ahead and put this on out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's go. We've got a lot to cover.
Yeah, so here we go. AFC, I got the Ravens as the 1 seed. So they'll get the bye. Ravens get the bye as the 1. So I've got the Broncos at the Chiefs. That'll be your 7-2 game. And I've got your 6-3 game, the Bengals at the Bills. And I got the Steelers at the Texans, and I got the Broncos at Chiefs. So as I mentioned, I got the Chiefs winning that game. Rick's hard to go in there. Cold weather, 2 seed. Again,
it's very hurtful. It's very hurtful.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The fact that no one wants to play a division foe in the playoffs because they know too much about them. So these games are always sticky. But we'll give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. They've just done it so much. So once again, Rick, I'll be the first to say, yeah, bro, you're wrong again. No problem with that. The Bengals at the Bills. Here's the one where I got the Bengals upsetting the Bills in Buffalo. Cincinnati won't be. Joe Burrow is so unbothered. Buffalo is a lot of expectations on them. They think they're going to take the extra leap. You can't go chalk all the way across the board. I got the Bengals knocking the Bills off. I got the Steelers going to Houston and winning that game. I've got Pittsburgh winning that game. So that would give you 3 out of the 4 teams in the divisional round from the North.
Wow. You love the North. Yeah.
So that would give you the Bengals at Ravens in a divisional game. I got the Ravens winning that, and I got the Steelers at the Chiefs. And I've got the Steelers knocking the Chiefs off.
Whoa!
In the divisional round game, setting up a Steelers-Ravens AFC Championship game in Baltimore, and this will be the year that Lamar figures it out and knocks the Steelers off. How great would that be if we could get Steelers-Ravens in the AFC
title game?
Yeah. In Baltimore. Baltimore find a way to finally get Lamar and the rest of that group over the hump. I've got the Ravens coming out of the AFC And I'd love to know how you feel about my crazy picks this morning.
No, I mean, you're buying everything in with Pittsburgh. I will say this. Mike Tomlin actively wanted specifically Aaron Rodgers. I never got that vibe in New York. That felt more like a marketing thing. Oh, the league wanted Aaron Rodgers in New York, right? He fell out of favor pretty quickly with the coaches. Never felt like it was natural. This feels more natural because he could leave. He doesn't need to play any more football. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's got his ring. I mean, he's a guy that's got other interests, but it was because of Mike Tomlin specifically. He wanted to be there. So I think you're right. I think he is. If his body can hold up, he's going to go in there with the stuff that he needs, and we'll see. I like Baltimore a lot too. I'm not as high on anybody in the West. I like the Chargers. I think it's Kansas City. I think they're vulnerable to Jim Harbaugh. I do. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like Houston. I'm with you. Buffalo in the East is a no-brainer. But, when I looked at mine going forward, I had Baltimore heading to the Super Bowl as well. I don't think it'll be Pittsburgh, but I had them going to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Well, again, what fun is it to just go chalk? I mean, what are we going to do? Ravens?
No.
Ravens, Chiefs again? Or we're going to do
Ravens, Bills?
Bills,
yeah,
Chiefs?
Right.
No, we got to mix it up a little bit because – and the other thing is at some point, the Chiefs, at some point, going to multiple Super Bowls. If you look at it, it's been, I think this is the 60th Super Bowl this year, if I'm not mistaken. How many times has teams been able to go on long runs and continue to do it? At some point, there's a dip, particularly if you don't change the roster a lot. So you just wonder if this is the year that the Chiefs just don't make it. Patrick Mahomes doesn't know anything except championship games and Super Bowl.
Right.
So there's the AFC for you, buddy. So shall we go to the NFC? Ready?
Yeah, let's go to the NFC where the defending champs dwell, and they're going to be flying around the field on Thursday night, the Eagles.
Thursday night. So, yes, listen, hard to not want to take the Eagles as a number one. I did that. I put the Eagles as a number one overall seed in the NFC. I've got Detroit there too. Listen, I've been bullish on the fighting Dan Campbell.
You have.
They lost both their coordinators, Ben Johnson to Chicago, Aaron Glenn to the Jets. How is that going to work out? Dan Campbell's still there. To me, he is the anchor of that whole organization. I still got them coming out of the North. I got them at the 2 seed. I got the Niners winning the West. No one's talking about them. They signed Purdy finally. McCaffrey, we just don't know. They've got Saleh back for the defensive coordinator. So they got him back. They still got Fred Warner. So I've got them winning the West. I got them at the 3. I've got the Atlanta Falcons winning the South, not the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Tampa Bay Bucks quietly have won 4 straight or 5 straight NFC Souths. I've got the Falcons coming up and winning that. And for my wild card, I've got Washington as a 5. I've got the Rams as a 6. Now that we've got Matthew Stafford looking like he's going to be okay. And I got the Packers at 7. And so for me, Michael Parsons or not, I had the Packers as a 7. Interestingly enough, they could probably have a better record than either of the division winners, the Niners or the Falcons. And you could still be the 7th seed because of the way the NFL breaks down. And they're still trying to work on that seeding thing relative to that. Just leave the divisional games like they are. It means so much like they are. I hope they don't change that. So that's my 1 through 7. I got the Eagles getting the bye, so that would be the Packers as a 7th seed at the Lions. I got the Lions winning that game. Another one of those divisional playoff games, which will scare the higher seed. I got the Packers beating the Lions. I got the Rams at the Niners. Again, divisional games for playoffs are always scary. I got the Niners winning that game at home as well. I got the Commanders going to Atlanta and winning that game. So that opens up round 1 of the playoffs, setting up the Commanders at Eagles playoff game again for the 2nd straight year. This year as a divisional game, last year as a championship game. I got the Eagles winning that game. And I got the Niners at Lions. I got the Niners winning that game. You remember that was a championship game a couple years ago when the Niners went to the Super Bowl where they fell to the Chiefs. I got the Niners and Eagles in the championship game, and I got Philadelphia coming out as the back-to-back NFC champions, setting up the I-95 Super Bowl with the Ravens versus the Eagles. And Mr. Rick Watson, my good friend, I've got the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson hoisting the trophy to win the Super Bowl this year. And I believe my math is right. I think this is Super Bowl 60.
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken. This is big 6-0. Ravens winning it over the Eagles. I picked this one last year, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, so be it. This year, I got Ravens. And listen, they got to do more than get to the divisional round. So Baltimore, I'm holding it up. My wife will be thrilled to hear me say that. And this is not a home pick. I just feel like these things at some point have to happen if you're going to keep your core together. I've got more faith in Baltimore than just about anybody. I would probably say, other than the Chiefs and how they construct their business and keep their stuff together. It's just at some point, Rick, got to come through. I've got the Ravens winning it all.
Well, the NFC in theory is a little easier to pick because you can pretty much rule out anybody in the South going to the Super Bowl because it's a lot. It's just not a good division. It's just not. Your winner of that division is probably going to be 9-8, 10-7, 9-8, maybe.
That's right.
I like Washington to come out of the East. I think Washington's going to dethrone the Eagles in the East. I like Green Bay. I'm like you. Even before Parsons, I like Green Bay. I like the trajectory. I think they always come up with something offensive. I think Jordan Love's going to be better this year. I like what they do there. Their offensive line's always good. I don't know if Parsons is going to be this big. We'll see. He's already talking about he has to have injections just to play Sunday. Dallas knew that. I'm sure Green Bay knew that. It's kind of weird to me to hear that story.
It is.
I like Detroit as a wild card, but I'm not sold on them. I'm still going to stick with Tampa. I just am. I'm going to stick with Tampa in the South, and the Rams were my Super Bowl pick last year.
That's right. That's right.
They rallied and almost made me look good. Yeah, they did. So I got them winning the West.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But mine's going to be an all-regional Super Bowl. I have the Washington Commanders as the NFC champions in 2025.
Well, you and I aren't far apart.
My guy, Jaden Daniels, is going to
guy.
Explode just like Patrick Mahomes without the NFL hype machine behind him. And I think he's going to take Washington back to the Super Bowl for the first time since what's the year? 92,
I believe.
Whenever it was,
Mark
91
Rippon.
When they beat the Bills,
Mark
Rippon. So
Mark Rippon.
there you go.
Rippon.
Washington,
Right.
Baltimore in the Super Bowl.
Well, you got the all-regional one. I've got the I-95 one as well. I got Philadelphia. So it's the I-95 corridor represents. Maybe they'll just move the Super Bowl to New York again. Why everybody got to travel across the country or wherever it is this year? I'm not even sure where it is. I think it's San Francisco, maybe. I can't remember where the Super Bowl is.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's on my head. Yeah.
So there it is. So we're not far apart. We both like Baltimore to get there. We both like another NFC East team to get there.
NFC East team to get there. Yeah, we're right there. Right there.
But interestingly enough, Rick, the NFC East has had different divisional winners for I think 20 or 21 straight seasons or something like that. Unless the Eagles went back to back, I don't think they did. If this were to happen, the Eagles winning the division, I think you have the Commanders winning the division, I believe. That's what I heard you say, right?
Yep.
So you would be consistent with what has happened. I would buck the trend and see that the Eagles go back to back in it. So we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, we'll make a note of all these and we'll keep you guys posted on how miserable we ended up.
Yes, all right. So last year, this gentleman right here, David Smith, absolutely nailed the MVP. He thought it was going to be Josh Allen. He thought regardless, he even said, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but I think he's going to have his best year. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So you've looked into your crystal ball. Who's going to win the MVP in 2025?
Lamar Jackson's going to come back and get the MVP.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to take that type of performance for him, for his team, to get to where I think they're going to go. And if you recall last year, there was some of his numbers that were better than the year that he won it. But you know how MVP voting goes, Rick? A lot of times it's, well, this guy's probably deserving of it. He hadn't gotten one if he can do certain things. So there's a lot of weirdness around MVP voting. Lamar Jackson's numbers were solid. Now that Josh Allen has won one, I'd be interested to see. I think that Jaden Daniels could very well sneak into it. My concern with him is second-year jinx kind of thing, sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it. I don't think he'll be terrible, but to win MVP, you're going to have to outduel others. I feel like Lamar is going to come back in there. I think last year after they lost, the way they lost in Buffalo, the way he's so committed to wanting to do it, he only talks about winning, The only time you've heard anything odd about Lamar was during his contract holdout, which he was negotiating like all players negotiate. After that, he's been all in on wanting to win the Super Bowl. It's all he talks about. I feel like Lamar Jackson's going to come in and win the MVP this year.
I think in year number 2, we're going to have a first-time MVP winner, the first of many for Jaden Daniels for my Super Bowl participants. Washington Commanders.
Of course. For those of you all that don't know, this guy was all over Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams So the Chicago Bears slander is going to come from the left side of your screen all season long. I'm just telling you. So don't be bothered by it. He is all in on his guy, and last year he surely proved it. So we're going to see if Ben Johnson can change your mind. That'll be the first Monday night game of the season in Chicago when the Vikings go in there. So we're going to see if the new Caleb and the new Ben Johnson symmetry is going to work. But in the meanwhile, you got Dan Quinn and your boy. And so there's your MVP pick. All right, I don't hate it.
That's my guy. It's my guy. That's my guy. All right, so Coach of the Year prediction.
I was a little torn on this one because it's so subjective. It's like, what do you
see? That's right. Yeah,
really hard. I almost didn't even put this in the messaging for today because there's so many things that have to happen. It's like, do you take a team that's bad and they improve? Is that enough to get a team that's good if they stay good? Like John Harbaugh can get his team to 14-3, and we'll just go, of course you're 14-3. We don't even give him the credit for how hard that is. It's like Phil Jackson probably didn't win nearly enough Coach of the Year awards.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, but since we're playing this game, when I looked at this thing, there was a couple things that came to mind to me. Who can stand out and surprise us more than anybody else? And I believe it's Rasheem Morris with the Falcons. If that team can win their division this year, I think he can get that. I believe that it's that Raheem Morris, I believe it is. So I believe that the Falcons, Raheem Morris, can win the Coach of the Year award this year in the NFL, because if they win that division and take it away from the Bucs, that means that the move to Michael Penix proved to be worthy. That means that he would have got that offense going. And to win that division, not that it's the hardest division, but an opportunity to play a home playoff game with the Falcons, making that decision to draft Michael Penix and have Kirk Cousins on the bench, I feel that'll be worthy enough among other teams and other coaches to get it. So I'm going to go there this year.
Well, and that seems to be the one big media push award every year, too. They seem to latch onto somebody, and you're right. It's so subjective because it could be actually a third-place team in a division who was awful the year before, and they're going to get credit. I'm going to go because I think the Ravens will have the best record. I'm going to go with John Harbaugh as my Coach of the Year. I don't think he's going to win the Super. I mean, I don't think they're going to. I haven't picked a Super Bowl winner. Haven't gotten there yet. But if he takes them to the Super Bowl, big record, he doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough credit.
No,
he's like Ryan Day at Ohio State. People just don't understand the greatness that John Harbaugh has provided year in and year out. It's crazy.
I'm so glad you said that about Ryan Day. I
went off in the first hour.
This morning running around. Listen, I don't know what Ryan Day's got to do. You know, Ryan Day, you're gone. All right, so he's out on the unemployment line. So Ryan, what did you do? Oh, I was at Ohio State. Well, what's your record? 1,000,000-2. You know what I mean? 1,000,000 wins.
But I had trouble beating Michigan. So
God Almighty. But how did Michigan do? They won the whole thing. Well, not enough. I'm thinking to myself, you walk around with a 90% winning percentage. You don't lose at home ever. 100,000 every game.
71 and 10.
NFL, like God Almighty. It's like, so I don't know what people want, but I'm thinking to myself, it's not enough. Then God bless you. You know what I mean? Be careful getting rid of some of these guys. But there it is.
Agreed. No. All right. So now let's see if I can actually be competitive this year as we get into our 5 picks for week number 1 of the National Football League. It hasn't been close the last couple of years, folks. Fairly close the first year, not close at all the last 2 years.
Well, this is why we reset. We reset it all. That's gone now. You know, what have you done for me lately? So each week, guys, we'll pick 5 games. We're going to pick 5 games, and we chart these all year long. And then after this week, we will also come back with what I consider the hot 4. Not necessarily the best record, but the hot 4. That's teams that we consider the hottest 4 that have done the best based on winning and losing and how they look. So this week, we'll start with picks. We will start with Thursday night's game on NBC, the first game of the season, Dallas at Philly. We got to take a look at that, Rick. Listen, I'm already ready to screw this thing up. I'm going to take Dallas to win the game. I'm going to take Dallas to win the game. Let's go. What say you?
You've got Dallas winning in Philly opening night. Really?
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Why not? Why not?
That was out of nowhere.
Okay. All right. I'm going with the Super Bowl champs to win at home.
There's your layup. There's your layup right
you
there.
You gave me one.
Right.
You may have given me one there. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, listen. All right, so I'm making notes of these, and we will chart these week after week. And then so Friday, we got the game in Brazil. We got the Chiefs. against the Chargers. Chiefs against the Chargers. This is going to be one of those games. There's no home field advantage.
No home field advantage.
Other than Taylor Swift's probably got fandom everywhere, so there'll probably be a lot of folks there rooting for that. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win that game. I don't have a lot of confidence in it because I think the Chargers will play them well because Harbaugh's going to fight. His team's going to be ready. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Whoever runs the ball better, all right? Because I remember that field last year. I believe they talked about it. Got torn up. So I'm going to go. I'm going with the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Chargers and Harbaugh. Neutral site. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yep. And the whole travel and the whole bit's going to be wonky. So what would it be if we didn't have a Pittsburgh Steelers game to pick? We probably pick Steelers games more than anybody. This show is very, very passionate about how we feel about Mike Tomlin in a great way. We think Mike Tomlin is the guy. We represent him very well on the program. We're not biased toward him. I'm a Dolphins fan.
No, I'm a Broncos guy. I got no connection. Right. Yeah.
And we never pick those games because we're just way too biased. That would be a waste. So Pittsburgh's at the Jets. This is the Aaron Rodgers returns home game. The Jets have been mighty quiet this offseason. Their defense is going to be stout. If you think we know anything about Aaron Glenn, we feel like they're already ahead of the curve. Pittsburgh at the Jets. I'm going to take the Steelers to win that game.
Well, the whole Ryan Day conversation can also be attributed to Ryan Tomlin. Mike Tomlin. You and I have to get on this on the Sports and More podcast. But
100%.
I'm going to go the Jets because I think the Aaron Glenn hire was a slam dunk, and he is going to feed those guys Aaron Rodgers all week, and they are going to lay their ears back. And he's going to want to make a big statement with his defense. The media is going to be all over Steelers. I think the Jets are going to come out there and knock off Aaron Rodgers in his return.
Ooh, here we go. Well, listen, so far 3 games, we have not picked the same one.
We have not.
So we have not picked the same one. So it could be 5-0 and 0-5 if things go our way. We just don't know. So it could be. There's an that would be me, maybe. Listen, I took Dallas and Philly. I am diving in the deep end right out the gate. Right out the gate. The Fighting Dan Campbell's Detroit, a 4:25 game at Green Bay on CBS. Green Bay with all this Michael Parsons, back hurting, not hurting, settling in. Trade Clark, the defensive tackle. Detroit's coming in. Feel like they got a little something to prove. Think it's going to be tough for them to come into Green Bay and win that game. As much as I like Detroit, I'm waffling on this. So I'll let you pick first in this one, Rick. Who do you like, Detroit or Green Bay?
I'm going Packers at home. And it has nothing to do with Michael Parsons. I just like them. I like the way they play at home opening the season. And they have to kind of win that. Matt LaFleur understands the importance of that to kind of set a tone in that division. I'm going Green Bay at home.
I'm with you. I'm going to take Green Bay at home to win that game too. I hope Dan Campbell doesn't hear this. He might kick me out of ever picking his team again. So I'm with you. That's the only one so far we've picked that's alike. And then here we are. The final game we're going to pick, game number 5, is the 8:20 game on Sunday night, first week of the season. We will be by that point footballed up after the weekend. We wrap up with Baltimore at Buffalo. What a great Sunday night game that is. Baltimore's thrilled to go back to Buffalo. I'm sure that the game, the place of their last loss last season, but it's about 80 degrees warmer this year when they go there to play. Baltimore at Buffalo. Buffalo's a hard place to win. I'm rooting for the Ravens through and through. They're my pick to win the whole thing. Other than the Dolphins, it's probably the one team I lean on more than anybody. I'm going to root for Baltimore and pick them to win this game because as a Dolphins fan, I'm certainly going to need it as we're at Indy that day. So I'd love to be able to get on top of the division for 1 week. So I want to pick the Ravens to go in there and get a little revenge against Josh Allen on Sunday night.
Yeah, me too. This is where the John Harbaugh Coach of the Year run starts. I agree with you. I think the Ravens go in there and they're prepared to win that football game, remembering last year. So, yeah, I got the Ravens coming out on top. So there we go. Two the same, 3 differently. So there you go.
There you go. 2 of the same, 3 differently. And that wraps up the picks for week number 1.
Yes, sir.
Next week when we come on, we will recap the picks. We'll talk about a couple of the games, and then we will move on to the Hot 4, and we'll talk all things NFL because that's what we do on this segment, brother.
That's right. And we'll have another Sports and More podcast coming up before the Thursday game. So we'll let you know more about that coming up. So
there you go, brother. 100%.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Great to see you. All right, brother.
Always. I appreciate you, Rick. Thanks for everything, but we'll see you next week.
All right, man. Take care. Good to see you, brother. There you go. Great stuff. Right, please check out our podcast. David's so good. I just sit back and just marvel at how much he knows about just about everything. And the same can be said for our next guest because joining us now in year number 43 is the analyst for Virginia Tech football. His name is Mike Burnup. His appearance brought to you, of course, by Louise Baker. And there he is. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, Rick. How about you?
Hey, not bad, man. We're hanging in there here on this Tuesday, coming out of the first full college football weekend. And again, there you go. Louise Baker, Team Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382, nrvhomes.com. Louise also going to be giving away a pair of tickets for the Vanderbilt game for Saturday night coming up later in the week. So, well, Mike, let's just get right to it. Your thoughts after Tech was right there for the taking. Defensive adjustments, man, after that first drive, Coach Siefkas had them flying around. It's 10-8. Then 2 big plays end up, being the difference in that game.
Yeah, what do we talk about, Rick? You probably see something happen in Beamer ball, right? Special teams, first games. And what happens is good decision by Shane Beamer. They had that punt, and Nick did a nice job with the kick, went out of bounds. But the Hokies lined up incorrectly, had a 5-yard penalty. Shane makes them kick it again, knowing that cover team may be a little bit gassed, a little bit winded maybe, or whatever reason. And then Nick gets off the best punt of the night, 57 yards, probably outkicked the coverage.
He did.
Yeah, and then the guys get all out of their lanes. And then, then it's like, look out, there he goes. And that was a huge play in the game, obviously, after the Hokies had, went 3 and out there on that one drive. But, the third quarter, they hung in there and kept themselves in it. And then, that's what we talked about. Hey, let's have this thing in a fourth quarter game with a chance to win. And they did. It was, you're sitting there, 10-8 going into the fourth quarter. And then they had those 2 big plays. And then, Harbor's a great track athlete.
Yeah.
He pretty much gave up track to go, and he just blew right by the cornerback and raced into the end zone. Zeller had a great pass. And that was kind of the decision of the game there. So, yeah, those 2 big plays cost them. I thought the Hokies, had their chances. They played pretty well in the first half. After that first drive, I thought, oh boy, look out, 75 yards and 7 plays, we're in trouble. And then as you said, they only got 40 yards, or they only got 30 yards, Rick, on the next 4 series. And so they kind of buckled down. Sam said they were kind of amped up a little bit.
Yeah.
Made a couple adjustments, settled down, got into the groove. Got Caleb Woodson back into the game, which helped. He didn't start. And so, yeah, I thought it went to that. And I thought the defensive line, they got pressure on Sellers. They got 4 sacks. They got the safety.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think Drones was as sharp as he needed to be, clearly.
Yeah.
He was uncomfortable, and that happens when you got Stewart, looking down the face at you. And, he'd love to have that interception back there where he threw the ball into the end zone. And fortunately, the guy tried to run it out, got tackled there, at the 2-yard line. That's what resulted in the safety. So, that kind of helped that he ran it out. So it didn't cost him too badly. But yeah, just too many mistakes, Rick. I mean, we talk, you got to play a clean game against a team that's ranked in the top 15. And they had too many penalties. I mean, they only had 4, I think.
4 and all.
Killers. The Donovan Green makes that great catch. And then, and then he starts yapping at the guy like 2 plays later, and they get a 15-yard penalty, put him on the other side of the field. That the punt penalty was a killer because you had to repunt, and they run it back for the touchdown. And then what was the other one? The chop block.
Chop block.
Negated the big play. Yeah, that negated the big play.
Yeah.
I forget the other one, but I mean those things like that. And then of course you lose a turnover battle. And most of the time you're going to lose the game if you lose the turnover battle against a good team. But they did some good things in there. But coach told them, I'm not going to pat you on the back. You made too many mistakes. You got to make them earn these games. You've got to make them earn the win. They didn't. They helped them out too much. And he says, we got to regroup. It's a short week. We got to have your undivided attention, and we got to get ready to play. He said Vanderbilt embarrassed us last year, and we got to come in there and protect our house. So we'll see what happens. They'll make some adjustments, and hopefully they'll be ready to go. And this one will hurt a little bit because it should.
What is your own personal concern level for Kyron Drones? I mean, 15 for 35, 43%. There were some drops. There were some drops, but I don't think guys were really comfortable where the ball was going to come in. He made a couple nice throws in traffic. You think, wow, there's that potential. Then he had some wide open dudes and he can't hit them. I mean, do you think a lot of that was just trying to get acclimated to what, Philip Montgomery wants him to do? And as you said, I mean, he got sped up quite a bit by that South Carolina pressure.
Yeah. I think he looked a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. I think he wasn't very good when he was on the run, when he was on the move trying to throw the ball. Seemed like passes got away from him. But, yeah, he had too many drops, way too many drops, I thought. which just as a receiver to me just drives me crazy because those dudes got gloves.
Right.
I mean, if the ball hits you in the hands, I mean, come on. Most of those things are like Velcro. They'll stick the ball, stick to it. So, I just have very little tolerance for drop passes. But yeah, so there were some of those, and some of those he missed. They threw him a little bit too far in front, too far in back. Some of that could have been the timing with the receiver. You don't want to blame it all on the quarterback. Sometimes the quarterback makes the receivers look great. Sometimes the receivers make the quarterback look great. I thought he had some really, really good throws to Aiden Green and Donovan Green, Seldom down the sideline, and Spencer. He made some nice throws in the game. But yeah, I mean, when you just put all the combinations together with the drop passes, the penalties, the big plays, you can't do that against a really good team and win.
What was your assessment of the offensive line? I mean, overall, what did you like best? I mean, those guys playing together for the first time, a bunch of new guys. I know they didn't run the ball as well as they wanted, but did you think they hung in there for most of the game? What was your assessment up front?
I didn't think they played too bad. I thought Marcellus Hawkins, he had 60 yards in the game, and he earned those 60.
He did.
I think he only got thrown for a loss, negative 2 yards is all he had for loss. So I thought he ran the ball well. Yeah, I mean, that was a tough front they were up against, clearly. I mean, that's an SEC defensive line. You had some young linebackers and some young defensive linemen, but those dudes are big. And sometimes they crowd the box a little bit. But, for the most part, I didn't think they graded out too badly. They ran the ball decently. They ran it enough to win a game. But, yeah, they could have been better, and I'm sure they probably will be this week.
Well, they're sitting there at 0-1 coming back. I like to hear what Coach Price said there. I like hey, you're not getting an attaboy. We didn't win. There was a lot of mistakes. Now you got to come and you got to take care of business. And from a fan's perspective, I know realistically, and we've been talking about it this week, it's the second game of the year. It's non-conference, but it is a night game in Lane Stadium. It's a home game. Those used to be, and Mike, you've been calling them for 43 years. It used to be not if Tech was going to win these games, but how badly are they going to embarrass whoever they play? Well, now – this is the setup they're looking for to get their season back on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's a golden opportunity. I mean, Vanderbilt's got a good team. I'm not sure how good they are this year compared to last year. They had a kind of a laugher for the opener against Charleston Southern. They put up a lot of points. Diego Pavia had 3 touchdowns in the first half. They didn't turn the ball over. Rick, that team last year led the nation in fewest turnovers. They only had 7 turnovers for the whole year last year. And so they forced 2 against Charleston Southern, didn't turn the ball over. Pavia was 20 of 25, and they had a great game throwing the football. They ran the ball pretty well with that running back they got. I think he had 83 yards or something. Yeah. And, then they could kind of put on the brakes and not show much. I think they were probably pretty vanilla in the game because they didn't have to show much. And the Hokies, showed well pretty much. And so it's going to be fun to see the adjustments they make. Talking to Coach Montgomery after the game, he said, he felt like they make the most improvement from game 1 to 2 to 3. And so I think, playing at home will certainly help. They'd be maybe more relaxed and whatnot. But I think they do have a little chip on their shoulder. Coach Pride told them after the game, he said, Vanderbilt embarrassed us last year. We got to come back in here and play well, get this thing back on track. He said, I'm not going to pat you on the back, just like you said. He said, we did a lot of good things in the game, but I'm not going to pat you on the back because we made too many mistakes. You got to make them earn these wins, and they didn't do it. We helped them out too much.
Mike Burnop joining us here on the program. His appearance brought to you by Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors. Give them a call, 540-320-0382, nrvhomes.com. I was very encouraged by what we saw defensively. A lot of different guys were getting in there too. I mean, that's a heck of a response for a guy who just kind of assessed what South Carolina was going to do, punched him right in the throat early. Didn't happen the rest of the game, really. I know it was a great call, the play action, and, Sellers threw the ball out there perfectly. But that was the only other big play they allowed, really, offensively until late in the game when Sellers was keeping the clock moving. But that's encouraging to me because I was really concerned about how the defense was going to come in there. Last year they missed a lot of tackles. They didn't look great. They didn't adjust, and now we saw that. So now it's time for the offense to adjust in week 2.
Yeah, and I think you got to give both coaches a little bit of slack. I mean, again, it's the first game for the new coordinators and a tough matchup. and kind of a hostile crowd. South Carolina pretty much had the crowd, although I thought the Hokies showed up well. There was a lot of orange there. I looked up and made the remark a couple times that looking across the way there were a lot of empty seats behind the bench. I was shocked because the towels were still on the seats, and well, where are all those people? I don't know if they were watching up in the concourses or what. And we had Gary Stoken on before the game, and he was talking about how the Falcons, when Arthur Blank built that stadium, he said that they have the lowest concession prices, Rick, in the whole NFL. Yet they make more money than any other team in the NFL with concessions. And so I think people, maybe they were up there watching it. They got a bunch of TVs in the concourse, and that's a beautiful stadium. Man, oh, man, you talk about state of the art. Yeah, it was nice. But, cut them a little bit of slack maybe. I think just everybody getting on the same page. You're first time in game week, and I think a lot of times in those first games, you watched Carolina last night. My goodness, tackling in that game was horrible.
Terrible.
And I didn't like that with the Hokies. I thought Sam had them well prepared. I thought they played well. I thought the defensive line with J.C. Price, those guys, he's got about 9 guys.
Yeah.
And he kept them fresh, which was a big part of that game. And you got Emmett Laws in there making plays as a redshirt freshman. And, there's other guys, Copeland and Kevin Gilliam. I thought those guys made some plays and made it difficult. And so, I think they got potential to be okay. Just got to kind of put it together, and you got to try to get this win this week. If you're starting at 0-2, I think, the fan base is going to get a little bit restless.
Exactly.
And, it's going to be a little bit rough.
And that's what my point's been about season on the brink. Doesn't necessarily mean the season can't be salvaged if you start 0-2, but in the fans' minds, after what's been going on, you're right, man. It's going to change the whole thing if they look up and see after 2 weeks, 2 chances against the SEC, you have 2 losses, right? It's just natural.
Yeah, it'll be difficult. Fans are kind of fickle sometimes, but, you're asking them for money and you're asking them to ante up and let's get this thing to the next level. And, the product on the field has got to be better. And I know he was frustrated that they had the game right there, sitting there 10-8 going into the fourth quarter with a chance to try to win it late. And just didn't happen, the 2 big plays. And so you got to regroup and get ready. Again, one less day to prepare for this thing. I'm sure guys, after all that contact with an SEC team, they're probably sore. He said, you got to work hard on rehabbing this week and make sure you obviously replenish and make sure you get the right nutrients and food and hydrate and all that sort of stuff. Because, again, a short week makes it tough. And but, this is going to be a night game and should be a great atmosphere, and I know the fans are going to give Diego Pavia all they have, right? they're going to be loud and crazy and obnoxious, and this is a game you got to keep it close because you want to keep those fans in the stands too when it gets down to the second half and fourth quarter.
That's a great point you make because you can't all of a sudden lose your home field advantage, right? People just heading out early. Oh, let's get out. You got plenty of time now to still have a great night here. Yeah, you're right. And Pavia is not too shy about telling people how good he thinks he is too, right? There's going to be I guarantee there's some bulletin board material that'll be provided. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny.
All right, we always like to look around the league, and you just mentioned it. Let's go most recent game first. Yeah. Yeah,
that was like I was talking to Bud Foster. I guess it was Saturday. I saw Bud Saturday night. We were talking a little bit, and he said, he used to look for anything he could to try to motivate the team, and then he would try to embellish it a little bit just to make it sound maybe a little bit worse than it was. But yeah, they'll be talking. Diego probably talks enough trash anyway. But yeah, they'll certainly have a number on his back, trying to make it a little bit rough and uncomfortable for him for sure. They got a really good tight end. They got some good players, and second year in the system for Tim Beck, their offensive coordinator. I think they got a good team, but again, last week you don't know how good they were after playing that, and this is their first road game. And after this, they're playing South Carolina in Columbia. So who knows if they'll be looking ahead a little bit.
That's right.
Conference games matter.
Carolina, you mentioned.
Talking about.
Yeah.
You could go 0-2.
Yeah,
you should do that. You still got your conference games in front of you, but still it makes it difficult. And this would be kind of a statement game where you protect your house and, get back on track against a good SEC team.
Yeah, 100%. I think people look at last year, it's an SEC team regardless. You go 1-1, it just changes everything going into the next two games after that. Florida State and Miami, you got 2 wins registered against arguably the 2 of all the blue bloods of college football. The bluest of the bloods are Alabama and Notre Dame. I mean, too early to say they're back, but what did you like best watching both of those teams play and win those games?
I thought Florida State played great. Looked like to me they had a chip on their shoulder. They played really, really well. They had that season last year that was forgettable at 2-10. And I thought Mike Norvell did a great job. Castellano, he'd been talking trash, and he backed up everything he did. They came out slinging it, throwing the ball down the field, and made some big plays. I thought Alabama looked a little bit slow. Maybe didn't have the athletes that they used to, especially in the trenches. And Florida State put them on. I thought that was impressive. And Hokies got to go down there and play in Tallahassee, so that should be a whale of a game. And depending on what happens from here on out, I mean, they got to bring it every week after they did there. Probably Alabama might have been a little overrated at number 8, but who knows? And then, Miami playing at home is always difficult down there. But Notre Dame, I thought, the quarterback play was the difference to me. It just seemed like obviously Beck played much, much better. He used his weapons, didn't panic, when they got to the end there and they got the big score at the end. So, that was a heck of a game. 2 really good games. But the Miami Notre Dame game, man, that was a classic.
Yeah, Miami kind of slipped up in that fourth quarter, were able to rally and get that field goal about a minute to go, but they got off the deck, something you didn't see them do a whole lot when they were challenged in years past. But Carson Beck, I mean, he gets a lot of criticism for his mindset sometimes, but he looked the part to me fitting in that offense on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. He really did. And then you go back, and how about the game that Friday night game with Colorado, Georgia Tech, and they started out so bad. Had 3 turnovers the first couple possessions, and Haynes King, man, he willed them to win there in the fourth quarter. And
that guy,
a warrior now. That game is going to be a handful down in Atlanta as well.
That dude doesn't get enough credit. He's a legitimate 2-way NFL prospect. You don't hear him. It was like 160 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. I mean, and he was beat. That last touchdown, he ran to the end zone. He ran off the field and just plopped down the bench like, oh, my gosh, the air's gotten to me out here.
Yeah. Hey, it's like, please stay on the field for a while so I can catch my breath. Yeah. Plus, not to mention the altitude you're playing at out there. I mean, it's difficult. And, he did a heck of a job willing those guys to win. And he's one tough son of a gun. And as bad as that thing looked for the longest time, he got the job done, and they got a big win on the road. That was great for the league.
Well, before I let you go, let me ask you, obviously we talked about the game, but how did everything do on Saturday? There were a lot of festivities going around, a lot of things for Tech. They had the concert and things. How did all that end up unfolding leading up to Sunday's kickoff?
Yeah, I think it was good. The concert and the radio show we had was good. We were in the Tabernacle, which was a converted church from years ago. I think that building was over 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
And, it was gorgeous. What a venue for a concert. So we had the radio show there, 7:30 to 8:30. Had Bud Foster on. We had Michael Crawford, who used to be a rover or linebacker for Bud Foster's teams back in the early 2000s. And then we had Rick Rosano. He had texted me saying he was in town. How could he get to the show? And I said, well, come on the air with us. So Rick Rosano was there with Jimmy Sharp, 1974, 5, and 6, and 7. I mean, his tackling numbers will probably never be broken. But they had a different system back then with Jimmy Sharp. It was like you got so many points for the primary hit. I mean, he had 30 tackles in one game against Kentucky and over 600 in his career. So, I mean, I don't think those numbers will ever get broken, but great to see Rick. And then we had Bill Roth was on with us as well. Then the concert happened with OAR. They opened it up with Enter Sandman. They had been practicing that just so they could open it up for the crowd. And so it was really, really cool. They played for a couple hours, and then, there were a lot of tailgating going on Saturday or Sunday morning when we walked to the stadium, and looked like people had a great time. It was a beautiful day outside. And, I think everything went pretty smooth in that regard. And the Hokies did show up. I was surprised at how many people were there wearing orange. So I thought they showed up well. And they were loud, too. And then the tribute to Coach Beamer was awesome.
Yes.
They did that with Gary Stoken and gave him a ball signed by Coach Pry. and Coach Shane Beamer. And then after the game, Lenora Sellers, the quarterback, gave Coach Beamer the game ball. That was kind of cool. So I think they appreciated all that as well. That was pretty cool for Coach.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear everybody at least had a great time. And I think there was enough positive stuff there for fans to hang in there with this team, to say the least.
Yeah, you just got to put it together this week and clean up those mistakes and see if you can get that job done a little bit better and more clean, and don't turn the ball over and protect your home field. It was kind of funny. I texted Shane before the game and I told him, I said, good luck. I know this is one of those tough ones. And he said, yeah. He said, I'll be glad when it's over.
Yeah, I get that.
He said, me too.
Yeah.
I texted him after the game, or yesterday morning. We were flying back, and I texted him. I said, hey, good luck the rest of the way. I said, how fitting was it the Beamer ball made a big play in the game? He said, yeah. He said, thanks, and he'll be watching. So, yeah, it was good to catch up watching that kid play high school football, to carrying Frank's cords on the sideline, and now being a great coach in the SEC. He's done well, and I'm happy for him, and I know they're glad that game is over with.
Well, Mike, listen, I appreciate you taking the time, and it's been a whirlwind schedule for you. I want to thank Louise Baker. I know how highly you think of Louise for making your presentations here on the program possible, right? She's just community, Virginia Tech faithful community. She's giving away tickets for the game, for goodness sakes, on Saturday.
I know. That's awesome. That's great for her. She's so good. Her team, they're so well connected in the valley with all the housing and whatnot. And I'm telling you, the interest rates are going to come down here soon. And things are going to start moving again in the housing market, I believe. And she'll be the one to talk to, because they got the inventory, the knowledge, the wherewithal, the experience. They got the team. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, have a great week. We're looking forward to hearing you on Tech Talk Live, also on the Level 7 podcast. And then we'll be listening Saturday over on the Bear when Virginia Tech hosts Vanderbilt at Lane Stadium.
Yep, should be fun. Should be a fun night. And I know those freshmen and transfer portal guys hearing that Lane Stadium crowd for the first time going through that tunnel, that's going to be pretty wild. That'll get you jacked up.
It will. All right, my friends, stay safe. Have a great week. We'll talk again next week.
All right, sounds good, Rick. Thanks.
All right, brother. Be good. There you go. Mike Burnop, the best in the biz. Love getting Mike's take on everything there with the Virginia Tech game. As he's game 2 coming up. It's important. But see that he mentioned what I talked about. When I say the season's on the brink, it is for the fans and the mindset. Maybe not so much for the team in terms of how they can recover, because they still can, which is what was Ryan Price's point earlier. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Thanks again to our sponsors here before we head out to Family Fencing Studios here in Reiner. Thanks to all those folks. Give them a call, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. They are terrific. McClellan Chiropractic. Go see Mark and company. Go get popped by the machines if you have trouble. Mark's got the latest technology. They're sponsors of our chat room. It's awesome. Awesome over there. I got to visit, man, and it was a lot of fun. Don't forget that the attorney Ryan Pry brings us our fan question of the week. If it's not going to be Brent Pry, who do you want to see be the new Virginia Tech head football coach? Little River Heating and Air. Go see them for all of your heating and cooling unit needs. 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Tell them you heard us talking about it here on the show. And we are presented each and every week by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Very honored to have that as the presenting sponsor of this program. And special thanks to Larry Ramsey and everybody over at National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. I've been with them for 35 years because they're good. They're good at what they do. So good stuff there from Mike as he keeps things in a perspective. He's not going to sugarcoat it. Kyron Drones has to be better. He's got to be better all the way up and down. And will he make that improvement this week? Now, Diego Pavia is going to say something this week that's going to get the minds and the attention of Tech football players and fans. That's just the way he is. He spouted off last year after big wins, one of those being the Tech game. He spouted off about winning his court case to come back for another year. He'll say something this week. Don't know when it'll be, don't know what it'll be, but we'll see what he says. He's a really good football player, and he basically controlled that football game. When Tech came back, in spite of all the mistakes they made down in the Nashville heat, and they were losing players, and Kyron Drones could not walk because of the cramping, each time they got down late And then when they needed to score in overtime, Pavia brought them right down the field, sent the game to overtime, then won it in overtime. He was very composed, very poised, and now he has to do it on the road in a very hostile place. But the thing for me is, can Lane Stadium become a hostile place for the entirety of the game as opposed to just the opening? And that's exactly what players have said in recent years. They like playing there. If you can withstand the first 5-7 minutes of the first quarter, if you have the lead or if they're not way behind or not, down by a score, crowd kind of calms down a little bit. You start watching the game, and then the surface is so nice. They enjoy playing there in the atmosphere, and you get comfortable there, especially if you're playing well. I thought those are interesting comments, and those are from players that have come into Lane Stadium. That's not me saying that. So we'll see if Tech can keep the snowball effect going, if they force some mistakes, get in the end zone, if Kyron Jones can come out and hit a couple passes early and just look totally different than he did for most of the game against South Carolina. Then you can kind of chalk that up into maybe that was just a bad game as opposed to this is just who he is. The other side of it, if Diego Pavia comes out, he's lights out, Kyron Jones looks the same, then all of a sudden more and more questions. So I'm going to stick with my season on the brink, even though it's week 2 in a non-conference game, for different reasons, obviously. And to say that doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form that Tech would be incapable of rallying and then winning enough games to be in an ACC title game at all. You're not saying if they lose Saturday because you think it's on the brink that they can't bounce back. It's just going to make it a lot more difficult. And I just wonder how many fans, talk about home field advantage and what it needs to be at Lane Stadium, how many fans, if they're sitting there at 0-2, are going to be like, I'm done. It's human nature. When you start losing year after year after year and not meeting expectations and having these letdowns, I mean, now you see Tech fans. That's why so many Tech fans were confident they were going to get blown out on Sunday. Now, I had Tech to win. I missed the pick, but I never thought it was going to be a blowout. And Mike just talked about it. It was 10-8 in the fourth quarter. They had the big play on special teams. You had them stopped. You made the mistake, and then they broke the kick on the re-kick. And then you had the play action pass. But even after they made it 17-8, they got down, made a field goal, 17-11, and then they couldn't get to stop. So it wasn't the blowout. I'm encouraged by the defensive adjustments. I think they're going to make things tougher on Pavia than it was a year ago when they never seemed to adjust. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks on Saturday night. I know the crowd's going to be full throat, and it's going to be on in Blacksburg on Saturday. So we shall see. But we got a lot more folks we'll talk about the game with as we go along here tomorrow on the Wednesday edition. I believe Bill Ross back on schedule tomorrow. David Teal scheduled to join us, Keon Brown, and maybe some other stuff on Wednesday here on the program. Folks, need you. Don't know how else to say it. We need you to subscribe, like the program, go in, watch the videos, and please subscribe and remind people it's free. And you don't get bothered by any kind of thing. All you get is like a little 5-second thing that'll pop, hey, the show's about to start, just to remind you. But the subscriptions are free. But we need it. That's one of the metrics. I just read the metrics earlier. Everything's on the up. But then at the end, oh, by the way, keep growing that subscription base. Right now they're doing it with a smile on their face. We were plus 65 subscribers from last Monday to yesterday. That's great. Obviously, when you have that, they want more. So please tell people, remind people it's free, and just go in and subscribe. I think we can make this thing into something big here. And we always remember it originated here in Southwest Virginia. Let's give this area something here on a national platform. That's what YouTube is. It's a national platform. It's a worldwide platform. Anybody can log into this show and watch it, if you have YouTube. And just please support us in that way as we move forward. I want to thank the guest list today. Marva Miami, she kept things pretty leveled off considering what happened to her Tar Heels last night. She was pretty upset, and I wasn't going to give her a hard time about it because I get it. I understand completely. You're going to have losses like that. There was a lot that went into it. There was a lot of things that went on. But thanks to Marva, she took it very well. Obviously, thanks to David Smith. He gave us our NFL previews. He's got the Ravens and Eagles playing in the Super Bowl. I've got the Ravens and the Commanders, who should be Redskins, playing. And I promise this week I'm going to put the text line right here. Remind me of that. I'm going to do that right here. Text line reminder for everybody. I think it was Wayne who brought that up. But thanks for watching. If you missed it, no fret. I'll post it on our Facebook page. And as always, please like, subscribe, pass it along. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Hump Day Wednesday edition. Everybody, take care. Godspeed. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day. And we'll see you tomorrow here on the program.